Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Are you alive? The dog is alive. Are you alive? Yes, I'd just like to welcome you guys on behalf of the National Financial Literacy Association. Can you give yourselves a round of applause for making it here? Because as we all know, that's the first step. The first step is showing up, you know. So that we're going to have panel discussions. This is your opportunity to engage, find out about the challenges that you are experiencing in your business, because we know as small businesses, we experience a lot of challenges. So first and foremost, we have the compliance guys. Because if anyone has the power to close you down, it's actually SARS. Not the customer, not lack of funding, but compliance can actually close you down. So first panel is compliance and support panel. I don't know if they are ready. Compliance and support panel. Are you guys ready for us? Okay, so, yes. From SARS, are they ready? Okay, while we wait for them, just to give you a bit of background about the two ladies that are National Financial Literacy Association owners. They're actually, both of them, my former bosses. And the funny part is I worked under both of them in different departments. I had a lady earlier saying that she's changed her mind, she wants to start a business. Me and the two ladies that own the company that's hosting us today, actually we're all employees under one company at once. But, you know, because anything is possible, we decided, no, let's rather do it for ourselves, and we are doing it. So we basically invest in property, but not only that, what this is me now, just me, but what we do, we actually raised our own capital and we are able to fund under black-owned businesses, especially when it comes to property. So anything is possible. So is the compliance panel ready yet? Okay, please give them a round of applause, guys, as they come up.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nonzuzo Makanda. I will be facilitating this session of compliance. We just need NFLA on stage. Nosipo, are you ready? Okay. All right, we're going to hand over to South African Revenue Services for them to give us a brief background about the importance of compliance as small businesses and how it affects us if we don't comply. So over to you.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Nozuzo. Sanbonani. Good morning. Dumelang. My name is Sanele. Can I talk here? Want me to sit there? Okay. Yeah. If it's fine, I will just stand here. From SARS point of view, my name is Sanele Kunene, by the way. I'm from South African Revenue Services. The issue of compliance is a big issue, people, ladies and gentlemen, sort of to say. The compliance issue when it comes to tax matters is something that we're grappling with for years. But the question that I always ask myself is, why people want to come to SARS? Have you noticed how many people want to go to SARS? What happens 1st of July? Everyone go to SARS to submit their tax returns. Why do you think they do that? Because it's a good thing to do. Just to share you a story, tax is not a new thing. Even way back in the 80s, people used to pay tax. Those who follow religions of Christianity, they will know that in the book of Luke, at some stage, the man called Jesus said, he told them and said, pay to Caesar what's due to Caesar, or to Caesar. And then he said, pay taxes to whom it is due. So the tax issue is an old thing. But then let's say why people must pay tax, especially people who are doing business. We pay tax because it's the right thing to do for the country, because for us to have these roads that we're traveling on built, for us to have these hospitals that we use to get service on, it's the taxes that we pay. To have security, to have policing, to have safety, we need to have that coffin in for us to be able to pay those services. Now, there are government subsidies that come as a result of the money that we also send or being collected by us on behalf of the state, right? But for SMMEs, just to bring it home, the biggest challenge that we normally have with business people or SMMEs paying tax is the failure to keep records. Ama-document lawa adingakala ukuthi ufuneka usubmit ama-financials wakho. Kuyinkinga ke futhi, it's not just a problem in this country. In many countries, SMMEs are struggling to keep the records. Again, there's an issue of the so-called tax burden. Even if you hire an accountant, you still need to pay that accountant some money for them to help you with the documents, right? That's the biggest challenge that people are always having. But we are moving away, we are saying, we are there to assist you as SMMEs to comply with your tax matters. Because for you to submit any submission, if you want to tender or anything, it's always required to say, bring your tax clearance, right? Are you always ready with your tax clearance? No, it's not ready because you have not paid your tax. Your returns are outstanding, you have not. So that's an issue. Then it becomes a problem. It means then you will not qualify or you won't be able to tender and so on and so forth. So just to quickly summarize, what SARS has done over the past years, in particular from 2012, we have introduced to assist sole proprietors and entrepreneurs the so-called turnover tax. Have you ever heard about that? Turnover tax? So the turnover tax is to help entrepreneurs do away with the so-called complicated documentations, complicated other tax types like your CIT or CGT, capital gains tax, dividends tax, VAT, and so on. So if you register for turnover tax, it just helps you do away with all those taxes and focus on one tax product. Now, what does it mean is, if your turnover in your business is less than $1 million, for example, then that threshold qualifies you to register for turnover tax, right? We only look at turnover. That's it. Then we tax you based on the turnover. And I think for many businesses falling in this category, they take advantage of that and apply for turnover tax. That is done at the branches. If you go to any branches, they will help you with that. The tax rate is quite low. As we know, we're trying to look after people to try. We know people are starting up businesses, they're struggling. So the taxable rate is from 1% to 3%. It's based on turnover again, and then it depends how much we've made. So if I may just tell you, if you make any money from 0 to 335,000 per annum, actually SARS says you don't have to pay any tax from there, but you still submit returns, right? So SARS is saying from 335,000, only if you have registered for turnover tax, we will start then to tax you progressively, like I said, from 1 to 3%, depending how much we've made above 335,000 rand per annum. So those are just things that people need to be aware of. Or should you choose to register for small business corporation? Now, let's say your turnover is above $1 million. So you are now beginning to a bit of a bigger guy, but you are now no longer micro business, which is up to $1 million. So from $1 million to, say, 20 million. So you can register for so-called small business corporation. You don't necessarily register, but whenever you submit your return to SARS, you have to indicate to them to say, I am a small business corporation. You meet the criteria. There's a criteria that you have to meet on there. However, the taxable a threshold start from 78,000. So anything below 70,000 for small business corporation, we do not tax you. I hope that is clear. So you've got a lot of options so that you are safe from this 28% that people are getting into for which is called corporate tax. The corporate tax is meant for businesses that have already landed, if I may say. So if you are struggling, you're starting up, you've got a business that is not doing much, take advantage of registering for this turnover tax type, turnover tax, or indicate to such a small business corporation. They will be able to tax you based on that turnover that you have made. Is that clear, people? Now, with regard to tax clearance, let me emphasize again, people are walking to our branches requesting tax clearance certificate. We have since improvised or enhanced the system again. You don't necessarily need that hard copy of a tax clearance. For safety and to make your life easy, you can only go to SARS and get a PIN, a status, now called tax clearance status. So once you get that PIN, you can give to any employer or municipality who want to know your status of your taxes. Then if they use that PIN, they can see your compliance level. All right. You can inquire that a lot. You can visit our website at www.sars.gov.za, or you can visit our branches, or you can call our call center. I think if you look at that pull-up banner, should have a call center number. But if you need our call center, I've got my colleagues there in the corner who will be exhibiting for the weekend from today. They'll give you a call center number. Unfortunately, I don't have exact number in my head. All right. So that's about SARS. So key things, the tax clearance certificate has been modified to be tax clearance status. You don't need a hard copy. 1, 2, it doesn't matter which industry you're in. It could be an NPO, you could be a sole proprietor, you could be running any type of business. If you could be even in the tax industry, you qualify for turnover tax, except for NPOs, I meant to say, because you're already getting some benefits in there. Right. That's about a little bit about SARS. I hope that just gives you an idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, SARS. Next up, we have Department of Labor to give us just a bit of information about compliance.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Siphamandla Kumete from the Unemployment Insurance Fund under the Department of Labor from the compliance unit. I'm just going to explain briefly, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then you will then understand what are the compliance requirements and what is it that we as the Unemployment Insurance Fund actually do. I will speak to you as two people. First, I'll speak to you as an employee in the company. And then when I'm done, I'll speak to you as an employer owning a business. Under labor, there'll be Department of Labor, then there'll be different entities where you've got the Compensation Fund, the Unemployment Insurance Fund, Productivity SA, CCMA. It's a lot, but I'll just zoom in to UIF as an entity. Firstly, let us say you work for a company and you are registered, which means if you look at your pay slip, there is that 1%, yeah, UIF at the bottom. What is the use of that 1%? There are 5 benefits that we as the UIF have got for each and every employee that is registered and paying. The 5 are called, the first one, it's the normal unemployment insurance, which means you are employed and then you lose your employment. When you lose your employment, you come to the UIF, you claim, and we will pay you the benefit. Losing employment means you were on a contract and the contract came to an end, or you were retrenched from work and then you get access to that funding. If you resign, you do not get it. Or if you were fired, meaning that they had to let you go because you did something wrong at the office, you do not get it. That is the first one. The second one, it's an illness benefit. You are not well, you are on sick leave, you are sitting at home, and your employer says you are not going to get a salary while you are at home, or you are not going to get 100% of your salary. You come to UIF, you claim, we will give you an illness benefit. The third one, maternity. She falls pregnant, and at the time she needs to take maternity leave, she's not getting a salary from work. You come to UIF, you claim a maternity benefit. We will pay you for that period of about 42 months or so. And then the fourth one, adoption. You're adopting a child, and then while you're going through the adoption process, you are not earning a salary or not getting 100% of what is due to you from your employer. You come, you claim an adoption benefit, and we will pay out. The last one, you are contributing, you are employed, you are contributing, and you pass on. When you pass on, your beneficiaries, which are the people that you left behind, they are able to come to a UIF and claim a benefit called dependence benefit. We also call it a death benefit. We're expecting your surviving spouse to come and claim, or your children below the age of 21 to come and claim. If they're above 21, they must be students at a university. Then we'll pay out that lump sum to cover those expenses. When all this happens, we expect you to come and claim within 6 months. If you do not come within 6 months, you are not going to get access to the benefit. It's 6 months from the last day of activity. Done. That was me speaking to you as an employee. Those are the benefits, and that is how you qualify to go and claim. You just need your ID for the normal one because the system will have everything. Then for maternity and adoption, you need the documents that speak to that. Then we pay out. And then for the death benefit, we need the surviving spouse and a copy of a death certificate. Then we're going to pay. That is done. Then as an employer, what is an employer in our eyes as UIF? Once you have got somebody that works for you for a period more than 24 hours a month, you are an employer. Once you have got somebody that works for you for a period more than 24 hours a month, you are an employer. It does not matter what type of employment it is, whether it was an interview or you just agreed, or it's somebody doing your laundry or ironing your clothes. As long as they are with you for a period more than 24 hours a month, you are an employer, and you need to come to the UIF and register as an employer. How to register? We have got documents, or you can even register online at the labor website. You register, you give us your information as an employer, and you give us information of employees. Who are those people that are working for you? ID numbers, initial surnames, how much are they getting paid, and when did they start, and how long are they working in a month? Why are we needing that information? It's so that we can be able to calculate the benefit when they come to claim at the fund. Once you give us information, once you register as an employer, we'll give you a UIF reference number, which means that is your number on our system that we use every time you communicate with us. And then when you give us information of your employees, that process is called declaration. You are declaring the information of your employees. You need to declare every time you employ someone new, every time you terminate employment on someone, every time there is a change in salary, every time somebody passes on, you need to let us know as the fund so that we can be able to update our system and pay out the benefit when the people come to claim. To declare, we've got a U-filing system. It's an electronic system, U-filing system that you can use to go online and do the declaration. Or you can use our other means, even our manual systems, which are the UI-19 documents that you come and you declare. Contribution. After you declare, on a monthly basis, you need to make contributions equivalent to 1% of the gross salary of the employee. How? Let us say the person earns 1,000 rands in a month. You calculate 1% from the 1,000. You deduct from the salary of the employee. And then you as an employer, you contribute an amount equivalent to that, which would be another 1%. And then on a monthly basis, you contribute 2% towards UIF on behalf of your employees. Then from them, when you make those contributions, we're going to maintain those funds so that when the employees come to claim, we are able to pay out that benefit. If you have got employees that are paying pay-as-you-earn, once you have got employees paying pay-as-you-earn, there is no need for you to make UIF contributions directly to EUIF. You go to SARS. SARS will do the collection on our behalf from employers that have got employees paying pay-as-you-earn. Lastly, once you are up to date with the registration, declaration, and contributions, we have got a certificate called compliance certificate to prove that you comply. That certificate, to access it, you need to apply at UIF. There are two types of certificates. Firstly, if you are registered and you've got a UIF reference number, you apply for a compliance certificate. You apply within 10 working days, we respond to you, tell you that here is your certificate, or we tell you if you have got outstanding declarations or contributions, and then we ask you to go and change that. Then, if you do not have your reference number, because some of our SMMEs do not have employees qualifying to be registered with UIF because they don't have people working for them for a period more than 24 hours in a month. Then from there, you come and you claim for a UIF tender letter, which is different because the tender letter will say, this person is unable to register because they don't qualify. But we as UIF, we know that they do exist. Then that document, you will keep it and submit it every time you need to submit for a tender or you are applying for anything. For you to apply for it, for a compliance certificate, it will be compliance@uif.gov.za. You receive an automatic reply with the forms. You fill them in, you send them back following the instructions, and then in 10 days, we issue the document. For a tender letter for employers, for companies that do not have employees, it will be tender letter at uif.gov.za. Also, the same process will follow, and then we'll send the document to you electronically so that you can have that document. So employers or companies are encouraged not to only look for a certificate only when they need to submit. As long as you've got a CK number, apply for that document so that you can always have it. Because when you come and there is pressure, there is a tender closing, and you need to submit, if you do not comply, we will not give it to you. Because we will tell you that you don't qualify to get it. And the process of fixing compliance may not take place in one day because there are even other units within UIF that you need to consult in order for you to fix your compliance. So in a nutshell, once you become a company, have that document. Once you have employees, register so that we offer you a UIF reference number. If you do not, that means you are in contravention with the law. And when we come to register you, we will ask you, when did you start employing these people? If you started employing them back in 2010, the contributions that will be due from you will go back to 2010, inclusive of interest and penalties on top because you have not been complying. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Igniters. I hope you enjoyed that. It was fun. We are very excited to be here today. My name is Indran Govender, and my passion and focus is the future of entrepreneurship and how we as FlinFin can drive financial inclusion for entrepreneurs and SMEs through the innovative use of technology. We are very happy to be here today with you. And we'd like to thank the Gauteng Provincial Department, as well as the National Financial Literacy Association, and everyone involved to bring this amazing event together to support and promote entrepreneurship. So let me start by asking all of you a question. Who in the room has had a positive experience accessing finance? Yeah? Well, it says a lot, right? Well, we have good news. And the good news is that we, as a generation, are in the midst of two important transformations. The first is an economic transformation that's driven by entrepreneurship. And the second is that of technology, especially in the financial services sector. And we, as FlinFin, are at that intersection point. So according to the real state of entrepreneurship, it was a survey that was conducted last year across 1,200 entrepreneurs in South Africa who run their own businesses. The study revealed that almost 50% of those entrepreneurs and small businesses are youth-owned businesses. And did you know that the average age on the African continent is 19.5 years? So this is very exciting, and this is amazing, because with you as the youth, we are bound to see new innovations. We are bound to see new products, artisanal products, healthy products. We are bound to see products with ingredients that we know, clothes and textiles that reflect our society and our Africanism, right? But we also are going to see technological advances in communication, in how agriculture is being conducted, how we farm. And generally, the exciting part is that we're going to see new business models, exciting business models, new ways of doing business, and meaningful ways of engaging our customers. That is the hope that the young minds and innovation is going to bring to the future. It is so different from 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago. The change is rapid, and we've got to embrace it. So let me tell you this. In the old world, it was the big fish that ate the small fish. In this new world, it is going to be the fast fish that eats the slow fish. And all of you here are the fast fish. So while innovation and entrepreneurial intent and activity is at an all-time high, sadly, the single biggest challenge that entrepreneurs face is access to funding. Absolutely. So, and this is where we as FlinFin have come in. We are committed to ensuring that these creative companies, these brilliant entrepreneurs, those of you that are here today, are not limited by access to finance, right? So FlinFin, firstly, is a fintech company. I'm sure you all must have heard about fintech. It's a new buzzword. So let me tell you what fintech is. Fintech is financial technology for short. And it is the innovative use of technology in the design and provision of financial services. And so how are we being innovative about this to help entrepreneurs access finance? Well, we've taken everything online. We have the mindset first that our application and our digital access will be mobile first, meaning that you can access finance from your mobile phone, craft your business plan from your mobile phone, apply for finance, register your company, as well as find insurance products that are relevant for you. Gone are the days of printing out thick forms, filling in block letter application forms and submitting them individually. To scan documents, print them out, email them. No. Right now, with FlinFin, mobile first, access the application on your mobile device. If you need to provide a copy of any document, you use your camera, you take a picture of it, and it uploads automatically. So, when we talk about access to finance, there are a few other things that are of concern, and I'll talk to you about the two. So when SMEs require finance, they require finance now, swiftly, right? So the current scenario is you're going to have to go to a commercial bank, you're going to have to go to an institution, you're going to have to pick up the forms, or you're going to have to download them. You're going to have to complete those block letter forms, ones that are 30 years old, that haven't changed. Yeah? It's a pain. And not everyone has a scanner, not everyone has a printer. So we address this gap. With our mobile technology, you will be able to access funding anywhere, anytime, at your convenience. Now, the one thing that we have fixed is the current forms that you fill in for funding. They're often intimidating in that the financial terminology used in these forms are sometimes hard to understand. And those are the significant reasons as to why so many applications are either incomplete or inaccurate. On the FlinFin platform, we take you through a journey. We ask the questions that are easy to understand. Our journey is intuitive, it's simple, and it flows. There's nothing complicated about it. We make sure that the application itself functions as a business plan. So we are able to do your financial projections for you based on the little information that we ask you for. Isn't that fantastic? A 5-year projection of your income statement, balance sheet, profit and loss, and cash flow. Things that the financial institutions want to see. We take care of that for you. The second thing is, with FlinFin, we will help you find that access to finance that works for you. One that is right for you and your business at this particular time. So, in the old world, if you wanted to increase your chances to access finance, you would have to fill in application forms at this institution, that institution, and however many more if you wanted to increase your chances. So with FlinFin, it is one application which we then create an investor pack and we distribute that to our partners, eliminating the need for multiple applications, sending them in, waiting for responses, unsure whether you're getting an answer. And with FlinFin, you will know where you stand, because we are driving our financing partners to give you an answer in 48 hours. We don't want anxiety to know whether is our application processed, where it is, no communication. So we are giving you that certainty that within 48 hours, you will get either a yes or a no. And if it's a no, FlinFin will help you access alternative options. So we are very excited to be part of this revolution, right? And we are happy today to be sharing our soft launch with you. And we know that you're going to use the FlinFin application. You're going to be early adopters of FlinFin. And we hope that you get on board, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook. We'll be posting a lot of where we are having talks, jamming sessions, bringing on our partners, extending the information, because we want access to finance to be the last thing you need to worry about. You've got the skill, you've got the creativity, you've got the innovation, and the determination. We'll help you close that gap. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Governor. I hope that you guys learned a lot about this fintech new buzzword. I have NFLA coming up to also speak about compliance. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. Morning, entrepreneurs. Are you excited to be here? We have to be excited. You know why? Because we've got all these people here who are going to take our businesses to the next level. That is, if we commit. We are running this organization because we've realized that we've got a challenge with growing SMMEs. And one of the challenges we have is compliance. That's why we have SARS here. Because we wanted them to tell us why do we need this tax clearance? And you know, I've been there. I know sometimes you realize later, but actually it has expired. And you don't even know what to do in terms of annual returns. There's also an issue of 15%. I didn't hear Ubhuda Tetangayo. And I don't know how it affects us as SMMEs, but we need to know such. We've got the Department of Labor here because we are dealing with a lot of SMMEs. And our SMMEs, some of them are actually in construction. And I know for a fact that sometimes we are asked to bring a letter of good standing. Is anybody in construction here? Does that name ring a bell? Do we know what it is? Do we know why they need it? Okay. That's what I was expecting from the gentleman from Department of Labor. I don't know if it's your portfolio or whatever, but we need to understand such, because that's the reason why sometimes, remember, to us, if financial literacy is broad, how do I make money for my business? If you do not comply, you are losing on an opportunity. When you lose on an opportunity, you are losing money, isn't it? If you do not have your tax clearance, you are losing on an opportunity. Now, what we need to understand is, especially for construction guys, please help me, labor here. Why do you need to have a letter of good standing? And sometimes they want you to have employees to register for UIF. What if you're a small business that does not have employees? In that case, what do you do? I want you to ask these questions. Another issue that we come across as entrepreneurs is the issue of access to markets. It doesn't matter if you have a great product, but if you don't have access to markets, who are you going to sell that product to? Remember, if you've got a product that is lying somewhere in your corner or in your wardrobe or in the storeroom somewhere, that's money lying there. So how do you turn then that product into cash? We need access to markets. I'm just saying that, unfortunately, the colleagues from the Department of Small Businesses are not here, because probably this is a policy issue, where each and every institution and company and whoever that is in South Africa must be forced to have those set aside for small businesses, so that our products can be sold, so that we make money from the business. Because it doesn't matter to register a company and you go around telling people, "Look, take no company." Yenzani company. Then the third thing is access to finance. That's another challenge for entrepreneurs. Why do we need finances? And a problem that we've also encountered is that sometimes, even if a business does not need or require funding, but Tina, as young entrepreneurs, the minute someone has a business, ufuni funding. Not all businesses require funding. Or you can start your business without funding. You must just remember that. Because remember, as an entrepreneur, you need to make it happen. Yes or yes? You need to make it happen as an entrepreneur. So if you do not have funding, it doesn't need or doesn't mean then your business cannot operate, right? At some point, Tina, we're selling spinach because we need a demand for fuel to start with financial literacy. We will stand there as professionals and sell spinach because we needed money. So there are ways of making money. There are many ways of making money. But however, again, now if you do have access to this funding, let's assume that, for instance, you've got your funding, you've got the market for your product, you do comply, but then the next thing, how do you sustain that business if you are not financially literate? or if you cannot manage those finances. Because now you get excited. Once the business makes money, then you want to buy, I don't even know the brands. What is the new brand now? Ipolo, it's Icon, I don't know. Is it Polo? What is it? Eh? What is the new brand? Whatever. I was not there. Fortunately, I'm from the rural areas. That's why I love SMMEs from rural areas. But we get excited and we do not manage that money. And we worked so much hard for it. Do not manage it. So that's the reason, colleagues, we are having this, because we want to bring information. And we've realized that the reason why sometimes we fail is just the lack of information. Also, please remember to manage that money well. We shall be taking one here. Ngani, are you here? Oh, okay. Then we'll try to take your questions. Program director then will take your questions. Please ask this panel as much as you can, because by the time you get out of that door, we want you to be as informed as you possibly can. Hello? Oh, yes.
Thank you so much, Nosipo, for raising those important issues. I hope all of us now, we have questions to ask the panel right in front of us. So I'm going to take questions from this side, and then we will move into the right-hand side. Okay, you noted at the back. I'm going to take 6 from this side and 6 from that side. Okay, I'm going to start with the gentleman right at the back with the GF cap, and then followed by you, sir. This, yes. And then with gentleman with the brown jacket, you, ma'am, and then you. That's 5. Where's the 6th one? Anyone in the middle? I didn't take, oh yeah, over here. Okay, thank you very much. There's the roving mic for you. Please introduce yourself and your business briefly, and then pose your question. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Power Masemula. I'm a...
Sanbonan ninjani?
So,
Siyaxolisa ngokunwastela isikhathi ne. Sisa organize itulo because some people are sitting on the floor and some are standing. Do you mind? Just 5 minutes and then we'll let you know. Thank you.
please carry on, sir.
Is it fine to speak?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, my name is Power Masemula. I a financial literacy educator. I run a consulting firm. So I have questions for the panel as per first from SARS, e-issue, e-filing. I think it's kind of a challenge. You go to their offices, they are very nicely sorted now. It's easy to work with them. However, what happens is that when they've finished assisted you, because we're a small business, they quickly refer us to e-file. And then there's nobody to assist us with the, we're not that computer literate. So it's sort of a big challenge because you are given, just go to the website. When you go to the website, it asks you for a reference number. You put in the company PTY number, it doesn't function. You put in the reference number of tax, it still does not function. So if maybe the gentleman from SARS can assist us. However, we really appreciate the swiftness that we get from SARS. I think we must applaud you. The system keeps on improving all the time. If you can just assist us there, just to connect between this e-filing thing, we think it's a good system. However, please, if you can just break it down, because those people at your help desks, all they do is just refer us there, and there's just nobody to help us technically to set up. That's the first question. And then on the labor part, and like Usisi said, the issue yama letter of good standing. I'm a service provider. I'm supposed to work in mining. I'm looking for work. And then they're asking me for a letter of good standing. And like Usisi said, I'm all alone. I'm doing training. So they asked for that letter. So I don't know, my brother, how we can assist each other in terms of that letter of good standing. It's also a bit of a technical jargon because when you apply for it online, they ask for your ID, your CK number, and there's just no human contact as to who we can ask or telephone in. So if maybe you can explain us, Uguti, indaba letter of good standing, how does it work? And then the last one, my brother from FinTech, thank you very much for your innovation, it's beautiful. I spoke to you earlier. I'm just a bit concerned. We have clients that are needing bridging finance. Can your system assist those types of entrepreneurs who maybe they've just got in a bid or a tender at the municipality, and then they're just looking for them to be able to buy that stock so that they can take their business through? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. We're moving on to you, sir. Pass the mic to the gentleman right. Thank you. Please introduce yourself and your business briefly and pose your question. Thanks.
My name is Hlanganiso Maluleke. I'm from Trailered Food and Trailered Acquisitions. So it's two companies. But okay, essentially, the first question that I have is for SARS. So regarding the taxes for companies that are making above 1 million rand on turnover or revenue. So I just wanted to know, you tax after expenses, right? After expenditure, but then what do those expenditures actually include, and what are the benefits or perhaps some kind of tax deductions that we may have as slightly larger businesses who provide maybe a little bit more in terms of employees and job opportunities? Because maybe you have, like 15 employees that are working for you at that time. Also, I wanted to ask a question for UIF. On the sense of employees, do the employees need to be South African citizens, or when you have an employee and they just have an ID number or perhaps some kind of documentation saying that they are a human being, then that is done? Or do they actually need to be a South African citizen? Okay, yes. And also a question for Flintfin. I currently have, within Trailered Acquisitions, I currently have 15 trucks that are actually standing and waiting for work. I just wanted to know, regarding that, would you be in a position to actually fund logistics businesses? You know, in perhaps maybe getting more trucks or stuff like that. So I just wanted to know also the packages, perhaps, the different packages that are from Flintfin. And also a last question. Oh yes, and also for the UIF, you said that I just wanted clarification on this, that if an employee is paying pay as you earn, then I do not need to make contributions to their, yes, to you, the 2% that you actually said that we need to pay. But I just wanted to know, if then I've not been paying taxes maybe for the past 2 years, no, not taxes rather, but I've not been doing those contributions, those 2% contributions, then regarding an employee who does pay as you earn, what are the chances of me paying back pay, if there's such a thing? Thank you.
Hello? Oh, okay. Can we just limit questions to two per person?
yes,
Otherwise, we'll
please.
sleep here. Then you can always have one-on-one sessions with the panelists after this. But for now, at least just two, so that we accommodate everybody. Thank you.
All right, morning everyone. My name is Spiso Ndlovu from a company that's NS Holdings, basically dealing with property. I actually registered the company with another director, a friend of mine, last year. So I just wanted to find out in terms of like the compliance issue, just directing it to the labor guy. The company has not started operating yet, but it is fully registered. So I wanted to know that in terms of us actually having the clearance letter, if we now need to go and actually apply for finance to actually start our business, what are the steps that we actually would need to then follow? Because it hasn't been operating. we haven't been generating any revenue on our side. And in terms of from Flintech, what are the processes of actually, just receiving funding for us to actually start our business and actually have it maintained and going forward? Thank you.
Please pass the mic to the lady. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lerato Khaswane of the ATM restaurant, which stands for African Trademarks. My first question goes to Fin. I would like to ask, as much as you guys have improved your services in terms of them being effective and convenient for us to use, have you also made adjustments with regards to the content of how to access funding? Say, for example, the collateral that is being needed from us as SMMEs from previously disadvantaged backgrounds, and the 6 months bank statements which do not currently look so good. We'd like to know if you have also touched into that as well, as much as you have made it easier and accessible to us. And the second, actually, this is one, more like information, giving information to the SARS department. I would like you to know that the 15% VAT increase, as much as it has its own benefits and advantages to the state, it has hindered our businesses. Our suppliers' prices have went skyrocket high, and that has made a very negative impact in our pricing. Say, for example, with me in the food industry, we are now buying food at a very expensive price, and then now we are now having a challenge with our customers with regards to our pricing. When we try to look for other alternatives, like, say, for example, reducing the quantity of the food being sold, they complain as well. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're going to take the lady, number 5, over here. And then we're going to move to the gentleman in the middle with the white cap after you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Wendy. I'm from Wendy Images and Panda Studios. We run photography, videography, graphics, and website business. So I wanted to ask from the funding guy if you guys fund such businesses, because I know a lot of people don't take this businesses seriously, like if you're doing photography and videography. So I wanted to ask also, what is the maximum funding that we can possibly get if you guys do fund such businesses? Thank you.
Okay. Please pass it through to the gentleman with the white cap. Thank you.
Okay. Good day, everyone. My name is Sbu Charlie. I've got a question for Uputi Ukumete regarding compliance with construction industry. Because early this year, we're supposed to, basically we filled our applications. The required documentation was sent to Pitori. But each time we're trying to follow up to get those documents. Firstly, phones don't get answered. You are kept on hold for 10 minutes, and that's a lot of money that we spend over many, many days. So I want to just understand, how can they better assist us? Because this thing of being kept on hold by government departments, it's not only just labor, it's many of them. NHBRC, you call them many countless times, and it's just a mission to get simple things sorted, such as this thing on your compliance. And they're coming to Puti Ugnene. And on that point that my brother earlier touched on, e-filing. It's 2018 now, right? And technology, obviously, one of the main things. And one of the challenges that we're having, especially with this thing, e-filing, is can't you guys just create, and if you cannot, perhaps we can come and present to you guys and assist you guys, tutorials online. Instead of having to go to SARS offices each time we want to do e-filing. It would be so much better if you can just easily go to YouTube and find a tutorial for a new business, this is what you do. And if you guys need assistance with that, we can also assist in that part. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. We're Thank you. We're going to give our panelists a chance to respond to the questions, then we're going to move on to the other side. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Maybe let me give just 2 minutes to my colleague, because I said I'm from the Unemployment Insurance Fund, she's from the Compensation Fund, which means the COIDA letter of good standing. She has got a bit of a more of a detail than I have. Then as soon as she's done, then I will carry on responding to the other UIF related questions. Just the letter of good standing.
Afternoon, everybody. My name is Minki Manganye from Compensation Fund. That is your injuries and diseases that occur in the place of work. Letter of good standing. It's a letter that says you as a company, you are complying with all the rules and regulations of the Department of Labor. It's a letter of compliance that is used for companies if you are subtendering, or you want to go and get the work at that company. It basically says that you are only complying with the Department of Labor and that you are registered, so that when your people get injured in the company, then they know that they are covered. They don't have to report them or their injuries under their own company. Now, if the company is not submitting the returns of earnings, annual returns of earnings, you can't get the letter of good standing, even if the company is not owing any money to the Department of Labor Compensation Fund. Now, the letter of good standing, as much as the registration is now done online, the letter of good standing, you still do it on the old labor website, your www.labor.gov.za. That is www.labor.gov.za. You go to the online services, you put in your compensation registration number, the 99 number, then you'll be able to get your letter of good standing. The letter of good standing that we're issuing right now, they will expire only on the 31st of April in 2019. Now, we also have a tender letter. A tender letter, we're using it for those small companies that don't have any employees as yet. Now, if you don't have any employees and you are still asking for funding, you cannot get a letter of good standing. Whatever company where you go and you say you want funding, if they say they want a letter of good standing from you, tell them that your company is not yet registered with Compensation Fund, as much as the company is registered with CIPRO. And they cannot force you to register the company. So you come to us and say, this company X, you have asked for funding from them, they want a tender letter. They are supposed to give you something in writing, because all the tender letters are addressed specifically to the company where you want funding from. Then you take it back, and the onus is on you and that company to register your company as soon as they give you funding or as soon as you have employees. And the company must be registered within 7 working days of the employees starting to work, so that they can also be registered. Now, all the employees that are working in the company, whether it's seasonal employees, whether it's casual employees, they must also be registered. They must be taken into account when you are registering your company. I hope that will answer your question. The letter of good standing, you cannot get it online, like your letter of good standing, you can get it online, but the tender letter, you get it at number 167 Thabo Sihume Street in Pretoria. Your tender letter, you get it from 167 Thabo Sihume Street in Pretoria. That is the Delta Heights building. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. If there may be any further questions relating to the letter of good standing, we can still maybe take them from the second round of questions. Now, employees, they do not have to be South African for them to be registered with UIF. Even foreign nationals, we are using the passport, is it passport number? Yes, the passport number plays the same role of the ID number when you have got foreign nationals that are working for you. So employees do not have to be South African only. When I was speaking about as soon as you pay as you earn, we have got an agreement with SARS that for them to collect UIF contributions on our behalf from employers that have got employees also paying pay as you earn. An example, let us say you've got 10 people working for you and one person is paying pay as you earn at SARS. Then you just need to take the contributions of all the 10, even those that are not paying pay as you earn. You make the contributions directly at SARS, and then from there, SARS will do the monthly transfers of finances back to the UIF for us to maintain those funds. If you make contributions directly to the fund while you are supposed to be making it at SARS, you will experience challenges when you apply for things such as a compliance certificate or a tender letter. Because when you apply and you are making contributions at SARS, we ask you for your tax clearance certificate. We take it, we send it to our finance unit. They check on the SARS system to see if all is up to date. So it's always important, as soon as you register with SARS to start making pay-as-you-earn contributions, redirect your UIF contributions there so that your affairs can be in order. Then, for you to register with UIF, you have to have employees. Even though your company was registered back in 2010, but if you have never had an employee, we cannot expect you to register with UIF. But as soon as you employ a person, then we expect you to register immediately. Because the reason why I even said earlier on, even though it goes back to 2010, interest and penalties, we start charging contributions from the first day you employ a person, which means the first month you employ a person, we expect contributions. If you do not make those contributions, then unpaid contributions attract interest and penalties. Then automatically then, that is why it will go to that level. Then, currently, I know, I will speak for UIF only, that our call center system, it's not 100% up to scratch. Our call center, we do have challenges of people saying that I've been waiting for the past hour on the line. And it is wasting a lot of money in the process, which is why we are in a process of re-engineering that unit so that we can be able to get the better services and even our employers or our clients. But in terms of, let us say maybe you are not finding assistance there, I've displayed our contact details on this screen. Please take them down, more specifically at the bottom, because those are my direct communication details. Once you pick up that you are experiencing a challenge for a document you are applying for, send it to me directly. Whether you are sending a complaint or an inquiry, then I will ensure that you are able to be serviced quicker, or we are able to check in terms of what is going on. Why are you not being assisted? When you send an email to our email addresses, you receive an automatic reply and it will give you a form again. Once you have filled in a form once and you've sent it, even though you get an automatic reply, it still gives you a form. You don't have to fill it again, because it's an automatic reply that we embedded onto the email for it to respond automatically all the time when you send an email through. I think I've covered all the questions that were directed to the Unemployment Insurance Fund. If not, the MC will assist me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's move on to SARS.
Thanks. Brapawa, just one issue around e-filing people. When we talk about e-filing, I'm happy, first of all, to hear that you are making use of e-filing, and I hope many people are doing here. E-filing was meant, good people, to make our life easier, so that we're not found going to SARS, spending money, taking transport or driving to SARS. So you can do it even in your house, and you submit and reconcile and do everything and comply with SARS just on your laptop or whichever device you use. Now, since we started with e-filing around 2007-8, we know that, yes, you are right, a system needs to be enhanced periodically. We've done some enhancement along the way to get it to where it is right now, to deal with the volumes, 1, 2, to address some of the challenges that you might have encountered, like the password issue. There's an issue around, I also picked up that the other issue is you can't load documents that you want more than 2 megabytes. So we are looking at those issues, and some of them have been attended to. Again, we've done a survey, obviously, to see some of these issues that you are raising, power. So yes, you are right, it's not always smooth and running. We now and then have to resolve issues as we pick up, but under circumstances or overall, e-filing is one of the very good tools we have put for the public to use. In fact, a number of people are not even going to queue to SARS as we start tax season for individual purposes. They do e-filing, all right. We do have support in the branch if we have issues like what Power has just mentioned. So if you go to the branch, we've got e-filing expertise there. The issue might be my question is, why would they refer you to e-filing unless they've resolved your issue? If it's about training, we do have a branch office engagement colleagues who do support, off-site support, where the need arises to assist you with a particular matter. We do also have support on our call center I was talking about. They do assist you with e-filing issues when you call them. Specifically, maybe you can talk to me after here. We can assist you with specific to the area you are in so that you don't have those issues going forward. The other question was around my brother here. I'm just forgetting your name, brother, sorry. Nhlanganiso. Okay, Nhlanganiso. I'm happy to see young entrepreneurs like you talking the issue of trying to ensure empowerment in terms of employment, because one of the focuses on the National Development Plan in government is that SMMEs, as much as they are engine of the economy, and in actual fact, we receive a lot of revenue as SARS from SMMEs. Let me just acknowledge that as well. And for that, the government has been saying, let's support them to make sure that they assist with employment. So if you are making a turnover of above $1 million, yes, the benefits for you will be within the small business corporation tax incentives. 1. 2, there is also so-called, of which I'm somehow disappointed, there is so-called ETI. ETI was introduced by government. And again, good people, let me just remind everyone, SARS don't decide on incentives on a policy matter regarding tax. We get instruction or get a direction from National Treasury. I will talk to the VAT issue later, but those are issues that are determined by the government, and the National Treasury through Ministry says, SARS, you collect this. So we get a mandate, right? So ETI is called Employee Tax Incentive, right? ETI. 2-3 years ago, government introduced that to assist employers. So in other words, if you are an employer, like Nhlanganiso has got a company, and you decide that you will recruit majority of young people. So if you submit to SARS that you have recruited a number of people under the age of, I think, 28 years, and they have been earning X amount, you get an incentives that is a rebate in terms of the tax that you must pay. So out of the employees, you made an example of saying you've employed about 15 people. I will imagine it's majority of young people. We normally refer to them as millennials. All right, so I think, yes, there are some benefits associated with employing people, in particular young people, youth, the graduates, just people who just finished universities. All right. The next question was from my sister from ATM. Here, yes. Yes, the issue of VAT, I'm happy I've just mentioned that we just implement. SARS is not making a rule to say we are now going to put X amount of tax this year. Each time the minister is going in that parliament and announcing and doing a budget speech, that's when, after all consultation, looking at the economic factors, looking at the inflation rate, looking at where we are in terms of issues pertaining to economy, then a particular rate of tax is actually applied. Now, in this case of VAT, and as you might be aware, there is actually an initiative from the president himself to say, together with all other constituencies, to say, let's look at this 1% increase. So there is a task team, in fact, ministerial task team that is looking into the pricing factor, not the pricing factor, but to look at the goods, and that should actually attract VAT, or those that should be zero-rated, essential goods, so that it doesn't hit to the pocket of the consumers, that you're actually supplying those goods. So yes, the suppliers will hit you with the prices because they have to now take into account this 1% increase. But again, good people, VAT, for me, we are a bit too late. I'm just talking from what's going on. If you just go north of Africa here, I was in Tanzania 2 years ago. Tanzania is not talking about 15%. They've been talking about VAT of 18% years ago. 18%. And again, I heard people, some of them are confused. We have not increased VAT by 15%. We've actually increased VAT by 1%. Yeah, 1%. So, but it hits to a pocket, because that 1%, if you, depending on the price of a product, it makes a huge difference. And it goes to increase substantially to everything, that even if you look at transport, etc., it gets to everything eventually. But you are right. The only thing or consoling part to all of us is that there is a close look into what types of good, or which some of the goods can we exclude on the VAT category. But all I can report from where we are now, for the past month or two, it's going very well. People are submitting their returns, and then they are starting to pay the applicable 15% in terms of submitting returns. So as of 1st of April, people have already seen the reason to pay this 1%, and they are, well, some of them, they look as if it's forced to them, but yeah, we are seemingly getting there as a country, all right. Brother Sbu, the issue around the tutorials online, yes, thanks for that idea. We will explore it, and you are welcome to engage me. Luckily, I'm responsible for SMMEs in SARS, so I will be able to look at your request closer. However, beyond that, we do have the so-called small business website on our internet. So if you go to SARS, www.sars.gov.za, there is a site there for small business where we're putting all the compliance requirements, documents that we need to comply with, the VAT registrations, be it EMP201s, anything, we package it there on the small business website. And I make sure myself periodically I check what's in there. Is it relevant? Is it helping us? And so on. So visit the website in the meantime, but I do welcome the online tutorial thing you just mentioned now. I think that will be all that was around SARS fraternity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's move on to Flynn.
Thank you. Hello again. Thank you for your questions. I'll start with gentleman at the back, Power. Thank you for the chat at our stand earlier. We spoke about financing or access to financing in the construction space. So just to tell you all, we don't have a finance or funding product around the construction industry. It's something definitely to look into, considering that we've had more than 3 inquiries this morning around that. And in terms of invoice funding, we do have a product on the FlintFin portfolio that provides invoice funding. It's a short-term solution, 30 days, 60 and 90 days. You can go to our website. There's a lot of information there that will give you the guidelines on that product. To the gentleman that has the trucks standing and not generating any revenue, and you want to know what funding is available to you. And I think my response to this will cut across the other questions. It's very important to keep in mind that whilst we have made every endeavor to make the access to funding easy and convenient, it by no means means that it's going to get easy, that you can just fill in the application form and expect a letter of offer. You got to know your stuff. To start off with, the compliance aspect. You need to have a registered business. You need to comply with all relevant regulatory requirements, right? You got to know your business. You got to know who your customers are, what your revenue model is going to be, your pricing model, what is your gross turnover, net turnover, expenses, and most importantly, you need to show that your business will be sustainable for the term of the finance that you want to engage in. It's, you got to know your stuff. As much as we can help you make that and make it easy, you got to know at least the fundamentals of business. If you don't understand, I mean, if you feel that you need to develop some financial literacy, please reach out to my colleagues at the NFLA. They have a great program. Get on board, go through the training. It'll give you a great foundation to gain some financial insight to run a successful business. We've all got to be responsible about that. We've got to take that responsibility ourselves. To NS Holdings, you had a question around the requirements. Yeah. Again, the requirements at its most minimum, you need to have a registered company. If you don't have a registered company, on our website, you can go through the process to register your company there. We'll facilitate all that for you paperlessly and swiftly. Okay? So apart from offering you the capability to register your company and apply for finance, please access our business plan generator. It is a very guided, wizard-driven approach to getting important information that's going to help you craft that business plan. We ask you the questions in a very engaging way, and you can do it from your mobile device. So go through that, take advantage of that. And, you know, so there's a big difference of a business plan that exists in your mind and your ambition until you put it down on paper, get it in writing, and see the output of it. So that's a great starting point as well. In terms of the lady from ATM restaurant, again, in terms of collateral, so this is a journey. This is a long journey of that we've started. We are an intermediary. Flintfin is an intermediary. We're licensed as an FSP and as a national credit provider. But right now, we work with a number of capital providers. We work with a commercial bank, and we work with other alternate capital providers, including the development financial institutions as well. So we're building this ecosystem of different capital providers, grant programs as well, so that we can facilitate all of this. We've got to meet their requirements, and those requirements feature on the products that we position for the SME market. So let me tell you about the products that we're positioning. So we are very driven and committed to black-owned SMEs. Our first product is finance for women-run businesses. Right? Have a look at that. Have a look at the guidelines and see if it relates to you. The other products that we have is, again, SME finance for black-owned SMEs. There's a product that we carry, which is finance or funding for entrepreneurs with disabilities. We have finance, asset-based finance, term-based finance, working capital, inventory, and we also do invoice funding, invoice factoring, and invoice discounting. So there was a question, if I get a purchase order as a result of being awarded a tender and I don't have the money to do it, then we'll happily facilitate that finance for you, as long as it meets the minimum requirements, which is it has to be from a municipality or a government department, a government organization, or one of the listed blue chip companies. Happy to facilitate finance for that, all digitally. Okay. And then Wendy had a question in terms of photography. Thank you for that. We need more creatives. And to be honest with you, the options for funding for the creative aspect is not as much as it should be, right? And it will change with time. So we've positioned ourselves as an intermediary between the capital providers and the SME and entrepreneur communities. As we engage and as we learn from you about what you want, these are the conversations that we can drive with the capital providers going forward. It's not an easy journey. We don't have all the products to bring to you right now, but we want to earn your trust, and we want to have that daily touch point with you, and we want to have that engaging conversation with you, whether it's social media, whatever it is. We want to know, we want to have that feedback to say, this is what we're working towards, and this is what we need to do. Just going back to ATM restaurant in terms of the collateral. So we're driving a huge change in mindset, and it's a mission for us. So for all time, including up to now, SME funding, the data about it has been kept in silos. None of the banking institutions share the data that they have about SME funding. So they keep the numbers to themselves, they keep the risk assessments to themselves. And as a result, we do not learn about SMEs, the risks, the performance, across the board. So we learn in silos. And being an intermediary and facilitating all your deals, we are driving what is called big data and data insights. So we can look at all of this data and see what does a hairdressing salon in the south of Johannesburg make on a monthly basis? What are the expenses? And from there, we are able to extract norms and basically help the financiers look at analyzing credit risk for SMEs in a different light. How about maybe using your education as collateral somehow, you know? And this is where we need to be creative about things. So you might ask, who is our customer as Flintfin? And your customer generally will be the one that pays you. And in our case, it is the financial institutions that pay us, but they are not our customer. Our customer is you. Okay, so our customer is you, and we're going to use our conversations with you to tip the scale to our advantage. So thank you. I hope I answered all your questions appropriately.
Thank you very much, Indren. We are a little bit pressed for time. So instead of balancing, we're going to take 2 questions this side, and then we will then on the next panel take more this side and then few this side, just to balance, because we live in a democratic country. So I'm going to take a lady and a gentleman. Okay, I'm going to start with you, and then I'm going to start with you, ma'am. Okay. Okay, I'll take both, but please let us be brief, very brief. We're pressed for time. Thank you. Where's the roving mic? Over here? Thank you. Please, colleagues, let's keep it brief. Thank you.
Sanbonan. Umfowethu lo wakwa Labor. I just wanted to say something rather than ask a question. I think our state-owned entities are using, and in actual fact, it's not a thought, it's a fact. They are using COIDA as a barrier to entry. If you want to be on the ESCOM database, they tell you get COIDA or you cannot be on the database. Then now that says you need to go to the Department of Labor and apply for it. At Labor, when you get there, they tell you need to have UIF before you have COIDA. Then every year, these people are paying a lot of money towards COIDA and UIF, whereas they're not having any jobs. And in my small understanding, I'm told that COIDA and UIF is meant for people with contracts. If you can screen on your system, you will discover that a lot of people have COIDA, and accountants are actually getting, people are paying 3.5 to about 5 grand. And it's a bad thing. I think it's just bad corruption. Something has to be done there. And then secondly, I don't know, Mr. Flintfin, is it possible that maybe after this I can have one-on-one possibly, because I may begin to say something here that would probably put you in a very compromised position, and you know.
Okay. Thank you. Let's move into to the other lady.
Hello everyone, so my name is Ati Khweku. I am an actuary by profession, but I have a company which is EduTech. So we've launched a mathematics app which is now available on Android as well as the App Store. So my question is, there's this term that's usually loosely thrown around, which is access to markets. So what I want to understand is, once you have a product and you have a market for your product and you've even made a couple of sales, in terms of corporates as well as individuals, clients, schools that actually are buying your product. Where can you go in order to scale your business? Because I feel our challenge currently is that we don't know who to go in terms of developing our broader overall marketing strategy, as well as like getting the right company to partner up with us in order for us to make more sales and scale the business. So a lot of entrepreneurs have products, have everything, but the final push is obviously the sales and new markets. But with the panel and a lot of people that spoke here, I don't feel that has been quite addressed properly, like who do we go for assistance in that regard?
Thank you, Atrang Mohoshi, and I have a company of construction and farming. So what I wanted to ask to Flimfin is that do they fund when you want a land or you get an offer to purchase a land?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe on the part of, I know that our time in terms of dealing with these things is not that sufficient, because actually going back to financial literacy or even planning of sessions in this nature, where we're going to go and sit down with SMMEs and spend the whole day so that we go through the compliance process from step one up to the end. Then from there, with that broader understanding, and then that means you will know as soon as you register a company or as soon as you want to start business, you know exactly what it is that you need to be doing. As much as we do have a stall, there is a stall that side, the Department of Labor. You are welcome to go there and ask further questions based on all the services that are offered by Labor as a department. Maybe some can be covered from there, or then others we can exchange contact details, and then because we are even willing to come to you to sit down with you so that we take each other through these processes, and then from there I'm sure majority of challenges or questions needs to be will be covered in that process. Thank you.
Thank you. And for the access to finance question, we also have another panel that is going to come on stage that will divulge on that as well. So because we are pressed for time, I think we can give Linfin a minute, but if he didn't cover all your questions, don't worry, they will be covered on the next panel. Thanks.
Sorry. So the lady, I must apologize sincerely. I didn't hear your question, but I'm happy to have a chat after this, and we can stand here and have a chat. So my apologies.
Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, are you learning? Are you learning anything today? Have you learned a lot? Will you remember everything you learned if we were to write a test now? Okay, guys, up next we have, because we're sort of tired now, right? Because we learned so much, our heads want to pop, right? So we have an entertainment piece. We have Usisi Umzwilili, Usisi Upelokazi Maqok, Uzoza azosiculela kamnandi, while the Access to Markets panel gets on stage. We will be listening to her. So can you clap your hands for her as we welcome her on stage?
Molweni. Ninjani? Siyaphila. Igama lami ndinguPhelokazi, an upcoming artist. Yeah, this year, I think so, yes. Ndihlala apha eDK, phase 1. Ndise artist noko sazikhaselayo bethu nana. So ndiqonde namhlanje make ndize. Ndinonivisa nje into emnandi nje. Bandiyaqonda uba ngoku noba sidiniwe ne. So sinida nje just movement kancinci nje. Ndicula iAfro pop, guys. ingoma ethi indlela. It's my journey song because ndisuka kude nayo. Umculo is not into elula. It takes time. But namke I'm willing to ukuthi ndifikelele apho amanye ama-artist afikelele khona. So bengicela DJ ukuthi usiphe indlela please. Malizula nifunana nendlela hebanzi kudala niyamba nifunana nendlela hebanzi niphuma ningena nifunana nendlela hebanzi abanye bemane besithi hamba udufike abanye bemane besithi nyamezela hamba kote kulunge abanye bemane besithi ungazula ithemba noma kuye noma There is another one called Uthando Lwami Okokugqibela Bethuna. Then ndihlike ndihlale phansi. Just siphe bhuti. Eyokugcina hlale phansi. Hey. Longo thando lwami ndizomnika longo mashukumeni. Nahlangana nawe, dali wami. Nasixelela ukuthi wena usisithando sami. Nahlangana nawe, sithando sami. Nasixelela ukuthi wena ongowami. Sithandwa ngiyakuthanda, baby ngiyakuthanda. Sweetie ngiyakufuna wena, sithandwa sami. Ngiyakuthanda, baby ngiyakufuna. Ngiyakuthanda wena, sithandwa sami. Hey, ngizomnika uthando. Ongizomnika, hey, hey, ongizomnika, oh, ongizomnika, ngizomnika uthando, ngizomnika, yeah, ngizomnika, oh. Come on. Satalwazini thina sobabini. Satalathina sithandana njalo. Satalwazini mina nawe sithando sami. Mina nawe sihlala sithandana njalo. Satalwazini thina sobabini. Satalathina sithandana njalo. Satalwazini mina nawe sithando sami. Mina nawe sihlala sithandana njalo. Ongizomnika uthando. Ngizomnika, yeah, ongizomnika, oh, ongizomnika, ngizomnika, yeah, ongizomnika, oh, ngizomnika, yeah, ngizomnika uthando. Ongizomnika, yeah, ngizomnika, thank you, Nyawong.
Can you just give her a round of applause again? Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Here on stage, we have Tsepa 1 Million. They're going to give us information on how to access Tsepa 1 Million and how does it assist entrepreneurs with access to markets. And then we're gonna be talking to CEDA as well, giving us opportunities in terms of how do we commercialize our concepts. And then we also later on gonna be speaking to Vodacom as well. Thank you. Over to you, Tsepa 1 Million.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bongani Mabusa from Office of the Premier. I'm the director for a program called Tsepa 1 Million. So I trust I'm talking to SMMEs right now. Yeah? Or even wannabe SMMEs, right? Which is good. So you would know that the program is designed for young people, and the intention of the program was to take down barriers of entry for young people into the economy. And we are focusing on anybody who's the age of 18, which is a legal age in this country to work, all the way up to 34. But in your space, it would talk to anybody even above 34, because as an entrepreneur, what I would talk to you about is how do you give access into your space. Because as an entrepreneur, you would grow and you would want to have the young people be employed through you. So the program has 4 pillars, which is based on, the first pillar is called the demand-led learning. The second pillar is called the transitional placement. The third pillar, it's called the the decent jobs. And the fourth pillar being the SMMEs and new economy, which is what we are about to talk about. Now, what we spend time on as a program is we try and source young people, bring them to these opportunities. In this case of entrepreneurs, is we then go out and look for young entrepreneurs and then try and find opportunities in the market for them. So we came up with what it is called the Kasi Unlimited platform. The Kasi Unlimited platform, we are now, it's safe to say, program director, it will be now up and live from 1st of July, because it is a place where we then offer market access as a service. What does that mean? It means we will spend time to go and find the private sector, bring them closer in the platform, ask them to open up opportunities, go and get these SMMEs around the 5 regions of Gauteng, bring them on board on the platform, and then say, if you are, as a business, looking to sell your services in the townships, these are the township SMMEs that are out there in the line or in the industry, if not the sector that you are in. We will therefore then say to the township enterprises, if you're looking to sell your services to the private sector, this is what you would need to do. But part of what we want to do and what we're doing, there are people who run businesses in a form of being very casual about it. Casual being they are not formalized, they don't have CIPC, they do not have banking details or banks. Abanye basebenzisa ama personal banks to run a business. So what we've done as a program is in the last year, and we will be doing the phase 2 in the months to come, we did an audit in the 9 most populated townships in this province to try and figure out what type of businesses are there in the townships. So if you walk into the Tsepo 1 million stand at Hall 6, you realize as you walk in, there are those coordinated izenk ningizwa kahle hayi bambili. So you get there, you find somebody ubhalile angithi lapha yana ukuthi noma ufuna ukushisela is 220 wara. So they do welding. But if you were to take that person and you say to them, can you do this formally now with formal business? They might not be, even though they have the skill. So there might be a gap. So what the program then does is then it looks at the gap that the person might have in terms of skill. We then try and bring you closer to where you're supposed to be. But what is key is that your business will not thrive if you don't have the demand. So then the program goes out and says, in the private sector, let's take an example of township panel beaters. You know, for a township panel beater, for them to thrive, they need to have more cars. All right? So we try and say to these opas and uncles that abalungisa imoto, but since alukisa di Mazda 323, look, we need to upgrade, right? But can you do drivable repairs? And if you can do drivable repairs, we look at what would you need to do drivable repairs of your latest models. It means imoto, when it comes through to you, it can spend a day, but it can be fixed. But we then have to find out whether you have the right tools and the skills. But in that business, you're going to find that Uncle X works with his son or some niece or somebody there, who can therefore then be given the skill. Because maybe the uncle might not go through the process of a full training, because but he has an experience. Are we together so far? So then we then train this young person, but we would have then spoken to the private sector. We're currently in conversations with the likes of Holland and the Abosaic and them to then say, how do we partner in unlocking this at the township level? Right? So that we can then say, how best do we bring this demand of people who want to do your bampale ekobegile somewhere? And we will then say, if you can fix this, we'll bring the car. So the demand we bring to the table. Now, the platform is going to make us work together easily and nicely. So we will therefore then continue to do the audit across all the other townships to figure out what's there, right? So that Maskuluma now, we talk to you because you have a CIPC, but even if you don't have, we are able to then say to CEDA, who's our partner sitting next to me, who will talk to you later, can we do business development support and what are those that are needed? So the program in itself has partnerships with other spheres of government to figure out what is it that we can do. I saw CIPC here, but what you also saw, you might have seen a bus in Lago, which is Gauteng Enterprise Propeller Agency under the Department of Economic Development. You could also go there and do AMA registration and formalize your thing. You can go into our stall at Tepo 1 million. We have NYDA who's doing talks in terms of be your own boss there. But our role as the province is to then do the matchmaking. Find the market, find those that can service the market, but be at a level where the market needs you to be, right? But we also are saying to the market, drop some of the things that are a barrier. Because you see, our business are not gaining access because there's barriers of entry. And the barriers of entry is capital. The barriers of entry is you are not a well-polished type of business because hauna a facility, right? So we then say, if we were to find a facility, would you still be able to do business with those people? But we're also trying to push the idea of localization. So we don't want you to be exposed to a business, but we want you to go and do business with something in Kangala. It doesn't work, does it? Right? And same applies. They say I've got 2 minutes. You see, you don't give me a mark. There's a problem. I get passionate about this. So that's what we then give as an access to enterprises. So we start you from entry level where you register your company all the way up to are you ready to do business. But guess what? We don't walk alone. We walk with the business. We walk with the likes of CEDA and them. I have not mentioned, yes, we are in partnership with Yes Initiative. So in other words, the private sector companies that are there, all we are having as a conversation with everybody is unlock your value chain. There has to be participation of township-based companies. But we must do business in the township. Underline that. Business in the township. That's important. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mabuse from Tepo 1 million. Let's move on now to Sid.
So I'm going to stand. Good afternoon. My name is Colin, and I am with CEDA. CEDA is the Small Enterprise Development Agency. It's an agency of the Department of Small Business Development. Now, and I think most of you would know what CEDA does and where CEDA started. CEDA started about 14 years ago, so in 2004. And CEDA's mandate is really to look at business development within the country. Before I go into our products and services, I would like to just share with you, some statistics of what's really happening within the SMME space within the country. The key challenge with the SMME sector in South Africa is really the unavailability of reliable data, periodic data, meaning that although we gathering data as an agency, is that we don't really know as a country, what's or where all our businesses are at, who's doing business, what kind of assistance would they need from not only government, also the private sector, etc. Then, secondly, this limits the ability of government to conduct sector analysis and design policy interventions from existing sources. There's an indicative upward trend in the number of SMMEs since 2000. Now, what that means is that currently we're sitting with just over 5.6 million small businesses within the country. When the DTI did their first review, which was in 2007, there was about 2.4 million small businesses in the country. And in 2010, it was recorded that there's about 5.6 million small businesses in the country. Now, small businesses within South Africa contributes 35% of our gross domestic product, or our GDP, towards the economy. And there is targets for future contribution, obviously, where we're looking at small businesses contributing up to 60% of our gross domestic product within the country. That means that as a country, we also know that, it's not your big businesses that's going to create employment, but it is actually going to happen within small businesses within the country. And that is why it is so important that not only government, but all spheres of government as well as the private sector actually invest within small businesses within this country. Then our private sector employment estimates range from 56% to 61%, meaning that small businesses that's in the private sector, those guys are really going to be the guys that's going to, create businesses within or jobs within the economy. Then just speaking on exporting, because exporting is one of our key interventions within our organization, is that contribution is markedly low for small businesses within the country. And we're looking at an estimated 2% only of SMMEs exporting out of the country. Then we're saying, you're looking at other countries because we want to benchmark and see what other countries do in terms of exporting. At 2.9%, South Africa established business activity rate, that is our established business owners rate as a percentage of our overall economically active population, is lower when you compare to 15.4% in Brazil. You look at 8.5% in Chile, 28% in Thailand, 11% in China, and 6% in Malaysia. And that's according to the 2013 Global Entrepreneurship Monitor report. Now, not far from home, you look at countries such as Kenya, and you're looking at Rwanda, you're looking at, all of those countries on the African continent, and they're doing much better in terms of exports than South Africa at the moment. Then we need to ask ourselves the question, what are we doing to make sure that we get SMMEs ready to export? I'm saying that we open to the African continent before we even look at other countries. Why don't we get our SMMEs ready to then, export onto the continent? Because if you look at a country such as Nigeria, where there's just over 300 million people, imagine the type of exporting you can do to such a country. Ghana and other countries as well, where we've got good relations as countries with these countries, So it is then upon ourselves as well as SMMEs. SMMEs must really have the drive to look at, am I ready to export to other countries? Then I would also like to then just look at, if you look at our makeup of our SMMEs within the country, we've got 64% survivalist enterprises, and they run by women within this country. Now, I always like to share this, that the Grameen Bank in Sri Lanka is a bank that was started to really look at SMME development. They ended up only funding women because women paid back the money that they borrowed, and our male counterparts didn't really do that. So it shows, and I also think why that happened was because that women were accountable to each other within the villages, because they knew if you got the money and now you are able to put, better food on the table for your kids, you can send them to school, then the lady next to you could do the same. And so you are growing the village, you're giving your kids better education, etc. And then you also grow the economy of the country like that. And that is why Grameen Bank then now decided that they're only lending to women, because women pay back. Then we've got 1.3% of our survivalist enterprises. We've got 24.6% micro enterprises, and we've got 76.3% small businesses. Now, what that means to you is that the 76.3% small businesses that I'm speaking about is really looking at, those are businesses that's registered with CIPC, or the Commission of Intellectual Properties and Companies. Those are businesses that's registered as a company. You cannot really register as a CC anymore, but some still have close corporations that they've registered before. And those are businesses that we know of that would do their returns to the CIPC, etc. And that's where we want every business person in this room to be at, where you are able to go and you register with CIPC so that there is some form of information on the business that you are running. Now, having said all of that, I want to go into what we do as an organization, as CEDA. CEDA's got a variety of interventions that we do for our small businesses. I'm going to start with the very low ones for people that, you know, just want to put food on the table. And that's your informal businesses. It's people that's survivalists, and it's mostly those people that sit, you know, either on the street corner selling their sweets and their chips and those kind of things. And we assist those guys too. So what we do is we've got a program that is called IMEDP. It's the Informal Micro Economic Development Program. That program was introduced about 3 years ago within the Department of Small Business Development, but now currently in this financial year, it moved over to CEDA, and we are now responsible for implementing that program. Previously, the program would give not hard cash money to you, but we would go and we would actually buy things that you would need in your business. Things such as if you are making scones at home and you want a bigger stove, an industrial stove, then we would actually go out and we would buy that for you. If you need chafing dishes because you are a catering company, we would go and buy that. So it's a process that was open. Okay, so I'm going to go quickly through it, but I thought it was necessary to say you could potentially look at IMEDP. Then we also have what we call BESD, which is the Basic Entrepreneurial Skills Development, and that is focusing on our township businesses, because we understand that township businesses is actually the businesses of the future. That is where we would want to invest. That is where we want to see a lot of businesses coming up, because we want to make sure that people within the township benefits from those businesses. Then we've got, I spoke on export already, we've got an entire unit dealing with export. We're taking 20 young entrepreneurs, and those are people that's fashion designers. We're taking to Italy now in June, July, for the Torino Fashion Week, all paid for by government, because we also understand that that is important. We need to make sure that we give, you know, opportunities to young people. Then there's other, such as, you know, we do business plans as CEDA. We would go out, we would, you know, service the business in terms of just being there for advising the business in terms of where your business are at, etc. Then we also do other interventions, such as if you need marketing material, if you need a website. We've recently signed an agreement with Facebook. We've got an agreement with Google. So these days, we're not only looking at your, you know, older type of marketing material. We really want you to compete with people that, you know, is out there. And so that people in other countries also know about your businesses. I think what we can do, I'll stick around. We can speak afterwards. Let's see, you know, where you are at, what kind of service you need from CEDA, and we can see how we can assist you. I thank you.
Thank you, Colin. I know the feeling. Sometimes you just go, you just become so passionate about it. Thank you. I'm going to hand over to our colleagues from Voda.
Afternoon, how are you? Okay, I'm Edward, representing Business Doctors. We're in partnership with Vodacom. Vodacom, in terms of this access to market, they've got a platform where they encourage people who want to do business with them to do a particular assessment, which is called a business evaluation on their platform, to see if you are ready to do business with them. So in that platform, they determine whether you are ready or not. And if you're not, then we come into play. We as business doctors, we do business development. We had worked with the CEDA, National Giselles, Neotel, T-Systems, just some big corporates that we're working with. What we actually do, we're using 8 drivers to upscale your business, take your business to the next level, make your business sustainable, ensure that you've got recurring revenue. That's basically what we do. Of the 8 drivers, we start from the financial performance. Financial performance meaning you should be able to know your business, to say every month, in terms of your budgeting, you know how much you're aiming for in terms of your sales, your top line and your bottom line, your profits, how much you want to achieve by the end of the month. We take you through that process, we coach you, we make you understand why you have to do what you're doing in terms of financial performance. And then in terms of your growth, which is the item number 2, what we usually do, we look at how are you going to grow your business, make your business sustainable, make your business profitable. We use a variety of ways by upscaling your business. For example, looking at the opportunities that are available for you to be on the next level in terms of either accessing better market or in terms of moving closer to market, your pricing and all those kind of things. In terms of recurring revenue, we're dealing with issues of having contracts. How do you negotiate a contract to an extent that you know that for the next 6 months, you know you'll be getting money from a particular supplier, or for the next 2 years, 3 years, and so forth. That, if you remember, some of the people previously were coming, talking about the financing part. Those are some of the things that the bankers or financiers look at to say, is this business sustainable? Is this business, does it have a credibility? Is it going to last long enough to be able to continue to pay me the installments that they owe me? So they look at those kind of things. So if we try and help you with those, even when you go to a financier or a banker, you'll be able to recognize that you are a sustainable business, a profitable business. I mentioned financial performance, recurring revenue, growth. I've already mentioned. What else, Chris? I'm with my colleague here, explain the other 4. Hold on, technology. You know, we press for time here, so we have to be brief, but try and touch on everything that is pertinent to you guys. Cash flow. That's another important element. We'll find out most of the people, they're running their businesses, and then all of a sudden they're running out of cash. There are ways that we can help you to probably manage your cash flows, either through managing the people who are paying you, or through the people that you are paying, meaning your supplier and your customers, vis-a-vis, even your bank account management. The best way is to make sure that you are always on top of things. And these things are only possible if you are able to understand your financial management part. That's why every time when you start with a business development, we look at your financial performance first to try and ascertain your vision. Because some of you guys, when you start doing your business, you start your business with that vision to say, I want to make $1 million. But how do you get to that $1 million? In business, there's something called budget. If you've got a budget, that's your plan. And if you've got your accounting system, the accounting system will be able to report to you to say, how far are you to that $1 million? How far are you in spending to get that $1 million? Those are the things that we try to help you through to manage as you move along. I'll allow my partner to continue with the last 4 items.
So I want to ask you, what's the difference between a coach and a consultant? So a coach is someone that helps you with your thinking and how you think about things and gives you a bunch of skills to help you get to the place where you need to go. A consultant gets their hands dirty in your business, and that's the difference. We are consultants. We actually help you in your business. So one of the other factors that we want to talk about is risk. If you have one customer right now that's contributing more than 15% to your revenue, you are at massive risk. Because if I take that customer away, you lose 15% of your revenue and the chance of you becoming fundable, etc., etc. So access to market, if you've only got one customer that's, or two or three, that's 15%, you're at risk, okay? The next thing that is your market share or your monopoly or your marketing message. So we saw earlier on, there were a couple of builders here. Where are those builders? Put up your hands. In construction. There were a couple of you. So what makes you so different to that guy, and to every other guy that just stands up and says, well, I'm a builder? That does not exactly rock my world or anybody else's world, to be honest. So if you don't have a uniqueness in the market, then you might as well just look like everybody else. So you as a company better have a uniqueness. When you find that uniqueness, you've got to tie it to the customer that wants that service, and then you've got to market it. How do we market? Well, there's a thing called a cell phone, called Facebook, called LinkedIn, and both of those mechanisms are extremely cheap. All right? So you better find your uniqueness and hit that uniqueness linked to a customer, not to everybody. No, I'm a builder. I'll just build anything. What do you build exactly, sir? What exactly, who do you targeting with your building? Is it me? Is it the guy next door? Is it the guy in the township? Is it the guy in my suburb? Who exactly is your target market? All right? That is the monopoly. We look at customer service. One of the things that in this country we get terribly wrong. We all think we're good at customer service until we ask our customer, what is it that your customer wants from you? How do you deliver it? And how do you measure that you have customer service and that you're delivering on it? Okay? And then the last thing that we look at is how dependent is the business on you as an owner and your employees? How many of you are the only person in your business? Put up your hand. So if I take you out of the business, what happens to the business, guys? It's done. So I want to just give something very practical about access to market. Who's like in really far out areas, or you like in the middle of nowhere? Okay? I want to introduce you to a friend of mine called a phone. On this phone is the internet, is LinkedIn, is Facebook, and there's a whole bunch of stuff on this thing called a phone. Have you ever actually picked up your phone and dialed a number and said, hi, I am this lady from the catering company, and I'd like to come to see and speak to you about my catering company and what I do and how I can benefit you? You see, I am responsible for my own marketing, my own sales, and everything within my company. Yes, these gentlemen are going to help me, and I'm going to help you. But at the end of the day, you're responsible for your own business. Get off doing other things and being reliant on them, and start being reliant on yourself and your own skills and what the Lord has given you, which is a phone. Start Googling or searching or whatever. 2 minutes. I've got 2 minutes. But I can't emphasize this enough, guys, that you cannot be reliant on other people to give you access to market. Go and kick the door down. But what does the door look like? Who is your customer? Do you know who your customer is? And it can't be a shotgun, well, I just hope it's anybody. No, it's that guy. Really go and think about who my customer is and market to that customer. And you can use Facebook and LinkedIn to do that at a very low cost. And then we measure those 8 things as business doctors. We come into your business and we help you to achieve your goal. And one of those goals will be access to market. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chris. We're going to take questions from 2 from this side and 2 from this side, but we already have a question from the previous discussion. So I'm going to start this side, from this side. Yes, yes, sir, you. And then who else? Who's got their hand up in the side? Is it only one person? Please raise your hand so that I can see. Oh, there's one hand there, and you say.
Hi, everyone. My name is Huiti Mangsisini, and I have a question for Colin from CEDA. Colin, I have a bit of a concern, maybe. I have a company, and it's been registered since 2015. Now, CEDA is a business development. I approached CEDA, and I went through the application. Now, my question to you is that, how do you monitor the application of SMEs? And how do you facilitate that process? Because it's 2018 now, and I haven't received any response, no matter how much I follow up with CEDA. So I would like you maybe just to clarify as to maybe there's a 5-year period for an SME to wait until maybe you get assistance, or maybe before you get an assistance, maybe there's a criteria that one has to hit. And if you don't hit that criteria, then is there a way of notifying the applicant as to whether your application is So, yeah.
Thank you for your question. Let's move to the guy over there. Can we move the mic to that gentleman? Thank you. Make it brief, sir, please. Thank you.
Age papa, ke nna Lawrence ke tswa ko extension 12 ko Kagiso. Potso ya ka e ko ntato wa SEDA. Registerile company ya rona ka 2016. E be le tla ko extension 12 le tlo re bontsha gore SEDA e ka re thusa ka eng. Then from there, since from 2016 e be le re founela this year ka January gore re tle ko Joburg ko di office tsa rona re tle le di pampirinyana tsa rona tsotlhe di banking details le di whatsoever. Then e be re tla ko since then e be le didimetse ga la zang le tlhale le boela ko rona. So ga re itse gore le tlo tsa sebaka se se kanang gore le boele ko rona. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then we're going to take to the side. Ma'am, over here. I'm going to start with you.
All right. My name is Lerato Khaswane from the ATM restaurant, and my first question will go to business doctors. This is quite a very interesting initiative, and indeed is of high value to some of us. Because of as SMMEs, you find that you are your own marketing director, your own CEO, your own, like you are everything basically. So now, with regards to financial performances, you try your level best to empower yourself in terms of having to attain all this knowledge when it comes to bookkeeping whatsoever, because of it's so expensive to pay, or maybe you can't even afford to pay bookkeepers at the moment. Now, you have all these figures, they are recorded whatsoever, but you don't really have that picture of what are these numbers actually saying to me. The numbers I do have, I understand how many, what's the target number for me to reach on a daily basis in order for me to be able to pay my overheads. However, like, you don't really understand what you are going or where you are going. And then for Mr. Collins, okay, I'll see you after with regards to marketing material. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The guy with the beanie? Yes.
Hi, my name is Biko Mafatle from Midlands, Casper's Ice Cubes and Blocks. I just want to pose a question to Tsepo 1 million program. I think what you're doing, guys, is very good, especially for us, the small business. So basically, he mentioned that for a business to thrive in Ekasi, we must have a demand, and they will supply us with the barriers of entry, and then the business must be well polished. My concern is that we're struggling in the Ekasi, especially with the kind of business we currently in. For an example, in my type of business, I'm supplying the ice cubes, and I'm also supplying the ice blocks, and I'm also in the business of supplying the mobile toilets and the mobile fridges and the mobile homers. So the thing is that most of the companies, the dominant companies from outside of Soweto, they are the ones who are doing business in Soweto. And then we try by all level means to give the customers the competitive prices. For an example, there was a garage that has been opened from a place. I think it's more than 2 minutes from where I'm currently pushing my business. But I gave the guys everything, the pricing, everything, the brochures. But they prefer to do the business with the people that are outside of the guys. And then that thing is really, really killing us because, I mean, we can't compete with those guys. And then for us to compete with those guys, I mean, is very, very tough. So I would like Kasi 1 million project to please help us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're gonna, Ati, are you still in the room? I think we must go back to her for the question that she posed on the last panel, so that for the benefit of the colleagues who were not around at that time. Could we please give her an opportunity?
Hello, my name is Ati. I'm an actuary by profession, but I have an edutech startup. So the question that I asked earlier was with regards to markets. So we have this app and we've launched it, and it's now available on Android as well as Apple, and we've gotten some clients already. So now what we need is obviously access to bigger markets. We already have a few corporate clients like Anglo-American who want the app for schools that they support in the Northern Cape. But now what I needed to find out is, for example, who do we go and speak to when we want assistance in terms of scaling our business and becoming bigger and bigger? Yeah, that was my question.
Thank you very much. I had said I'll take two, and then the one from the previous, and then the other questions that we have, we will try and engage with the gentlemen because we are pressed with time offline. They will still stick around to engage with you. So I'm going to hand them. I'm going to hand to them to give you guys feedback.
Thank you. So I just wanted to understand, which branch were you from? Joburg branch. Okay. And the gentleman over there was also Johannesburg branch. Okay. So I'm gonna explain a process, because it's ultimately a process that it is. So CEDA uses what we call a client journey, meaning that you would come into a branch, you would come and see, let's say you go in and you see the receptionist helps you. The next time when you come and you don't have a business, you would then go and see what we call an information officer. Once you've seen the information officer would then assign a business advisor to you. Now that is where the work starts, because the business advisor would then interact with you in terms of your finances. They will use some of the diagnostic tools that we have in the organization, such as the critical planning exercise or the CPE, which is our financial tool. They'll use the manufacturing tool, which is the ACO, and other tools that they would also use. That process could take from about a day to about 3-4 months. And then after that, they would then start the intervention. So let's say you've now gone through all of these things. The tools have been done. After the tools were done, now they've seen that actually you need marketing material. Then they would then do the intervention on marketing material. I think that anything that goes beyond 6 months shouldn't happen. Okay. That is completely wrong. And those kind of things you need to bring to my attention, because obviously then it is that something is not working within the branch. What I will do is I will give you this email address. It's info, GP, info as in information, info, GP, for Gauteng province, at SEDA, which is SEDA, .org.za. infogp@ceda.org.za. Those emails comes directly to me. So I'm the provincial manager for Gauteng, meaning that the branches within Gauteng reports to me. So that emails come to me. I would then work through those emails, and I would then go in and see, what was the trend in terms of the assistance that you needed. If it is that someone left the organization and it was actually someone that was assisting you, then normally what we do is we then hand it over to a different business advisor. So it's 3 people that left that was assisting you. Okay? Okay? Okay. Okay. Can you tell me who the person is? Okay. So what we will do is I will definitely look into that because, I mean, Anderson is still there. The person that most probably assisted you previously is not there. Let's just do this. Please use that email address because, like I'm saying, it comes directly to me. Then I can have oversight of those issues and I can address them. Because I don't want to hear coming to a platform like this that, you know what, CEDA has not assisted me. I think we are a country that's hungry. We want assistance. We want to see our businesses moving forward. And that's why CEDA is there, to make sure that we assist you. So please, after this, speak to me. Some of my colleagues is within the other hall where they have the, the thingy there, the exhibition. So please come and go and speak to them as well, because one of the ladies in there is actually the information officer for Johannesburg, so that she can also take it up. But I will then speak to you, make sure that we get Anderson to communicate with you, etc. For the gentleman at the back as well, I think it's most probably, and what I've understood is it's kind of the same story. So what I will do after this, just to make sure that I understand who the business advisor is, let me then interact with you. But if any of you have any of those kind of issues, that is the email address that you need to use so that we can, nip it in the bud and people don't have to experience these kind of things. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. I think the question about Meadowlands Ice Cube and Ice Blocks, so we can certainly, so as the platform comes to life, we will be able to assist. So I think what you are facing is and I haven't been to your business, but what is currently happening in the townships is that can I be honest and be frank? So we don't support each other. Let's be honest, right? And that's what kills the business in the townships, is that just because somebody came being, so you're talking about a garage, you can think about another store that would have been put next to you, right? And people think that simply because this one is better colored, it means it will give better service, right? So from a service provider point of view, one of the things that also kills our business is our own services that we give, or our customer service. It is not up to scratch. You always want to run business like Uzo understand. I don't understand. I don't. It's business. Even if this was my sibling, I'll still say the same thing. It's business. It's not me talking to you as Mtana Sekaya. So I'm saying to you, maybe we can have a conversation out of this, maybe offside. But it is important to note some of these things. They impact negatively as well amongst us, right? Yes, we will be bringing some business in the township, but it does not mean that you think that you should not compete, right? You might be strangled because competition to you is where you get your eyes and the price and the creation, whatever. So where you produce your stuff could be a challenge. Maybe the question is, can you produce close to where you are? You with me? And that's the conversation that we might want to get into if you need any business development support. And I think those are the things that we need to start thinking about. It's where do you produce your stuff that you give, right? Because that's where it cuts costs on your production, and therefore you'll be able to run a business. But I think as a TAPA, we're prepared to help you. As I said to you, we don't do things alone. NECIDA, as you see them here, we bring them on board, right? We bring anybody on board, and I would urge, I'm saying this in front of the program chair, there's a lady that spoke about bookkeeping, right? In whatever you do, forget it, right? Speak to the chair. Part of the program, what TAPA 1 Million does and will be doing is that how do we assist with such? Because if you have to bring somebody who can assist you with bookkeeping, pure bookkeeping, but that will make business sense and equally be understandable in terms of layman's understanding, it is what will move you from one step to another, right? And I know that Unonzuzo and team play a very, very pivotal role in that space. And she can share with you things that we intend to do in that space. We will be sharing this with businesses in the townships, because that's one of the challenges that I'm a business asekasa now. Is that umuntu, so let me make an example. So you buy stock, usebenzisa sleep. At no point, when you want credit, nobody has ever thought that the very same receipt could form basis of your evidence that you do have cash flow or money comes in on a monthly or if not quarterly basis, right? There is a program that talks to that. We can actually now, so through the partnerships we have with the likes of Boloro, who helps run businesses at the back end, to give you systems that will help you do that, right? Because then if you take that information to say, Yabana, for the past 3 months I've been making so much, I've been doing so much, you can now start buying stock on credit if needs be, right? But you can also improve your business, the look and feel. Guys, if you don't invest in your own business, I don't have to invest in it myself because you don't believe in it. Angithi, ngithenga ngoba ungathi bangena la ngithola ushanyela ngesikhathi sama customer uthi awuyazi. No. Kunesikhathi sokushanyela, kunesikhathi sokuthi ungashanyeli, right? So the business development, only what it does is that in your own space, how do we professionalize what you're doing? Because the world owes you nothing. It does not. Why should I spend $10 to you if next door sokune Pick and Pay Casiology? No, it's true. Let's be honest. Asikhulumeni var. Ngizongena ngapha ne? I-rice ebayithengisayo nale papa ebayithengisayo, nothing different to the pap and rice you sell. It's how you present the pap and you sell. So you have this conversation here, not for fun, but you're having a conversation to say, how do I get myself to a point where I'll still attract the customers myself? Abathalala, right? So you need to be saying, this is the business development I need assistance on. The look and feel of my store, how I manage my stock if you run a store, right? And so it goes with other businesses. And the TEPA 1 million as a program and the Kasi Unlimited, the intention and the direction is exactly that. It's not easy. It's not for free because it needs your effort, right? The rest we can do. That's what we put down here. You can quote me. That's what we put as a promise, if not as a word, from a program point of view. But Sissy, thank you. Siabo.
Over to business doctors.
ATM, I think that was directed to us in terms of financial performance. Look, I think my panel member here is just touched on some of the things that we do. In actual fact, I was in Northwest sometime this week doing the very same thing. You see, people, they take the thing of the numbers as if it's a big thing. It's things that you know as a business person. The budget is something that you know, it's in your mind, but you're just doing it unaware. But now, if you take it down and record it to say, this month, I know I'm going to pay salaries, it's so much. I know I'm going to pay rent, so much. The only difference about this is that now you are recording it, putting it down. But the other aspect of it is that you don't only put it down and not monitor. How do you monitor that? You monitor that by using accounting systems. There are a variety of accounting systems there. Others, they are on trial. You can go on trial for a month or so. I don't want to mention names, but you can go and check it. They are easy, and for a one-man show, most of them, maybe if there's 2 or 3 in the business for something like that. But they are easy. All you do is you record everything you do through your bank statement. There was a discussion around the issue of having a business account and your personal bank account. Those are some of the things that we teach you to say it is important that the business account remains a business account. Your personal account becomes your personal account. Don't mix the two, because when you use this accounting software, which are easy and understandable, you use them through your business bank account. If you are upload and you see the numbers in your bank statement to say, oh, I remember here I went to buy stock, here I was paying rent, and then you just match everything. Once you have done that, once you've got your accounting system, you've got your budget, at the end of the month, you do a comparison to say, I wanted 1 million end of the month, but the accounting system says, no, you made 800. Then you go and look, where did everything go wrong? Was it my expenditure? Was it my sales? I didn't sell more? You know, those kind of things. We teach you in such a manner that you as a business owner, as you walk out of the business or probably leaving your business, going somewhere, you know exactly what are you chasing. You know exactly what you left behind. That's the kind of a mentality we try to develop you into. Remember, my colleague mentioned the issue of a coach and a consultant. Some consultant will just go assess, write a report, if they give it to you or give it to the person who sent them. We don't do that. We do an assessment, we talk to you, we teach you, so that you get to understand and be able to do the things with us going forward. But in the process, we are monitoring to say, why did this not happen? That's how we work. I think in terms of scalability, yeah, I think my colleague will help you with that.
Just very quickly on scalability for that lady over there. There's a whole bunch of things that are linked to becoming scalable. So it's a very long conversation, and I'm going to have very limited time. So we'd love to have some time with you afterwards, because there's a whole bunch of things that you need to have right with inside the organization before we make you scalable. Whether it's staff, systems, accounts, whether it be marketing, there's a whole lot of things that is linked to that scalability. And if you're ready to scale, then we definitely can do that, but it's a long conversation, not something I can do in 2 minutes.
Just to add to what he's saying, so CEDA is having what we call incubators, and we've got 64 incubators throughout the country. We've got an ICT incubator in Midrand, which is called Soft Start, and I know they do app development as well. I thought that it would be very important for you to also speak to them, because they could also assist you in terms of, you know, scalability. How do you make sure that you are able to grow your business to where you want it? And yeah, that's it. So Soft Start, it's an incubator within Midrand. It's you can contact them.
Mark the 11th and the 12th, the Tepo 1 million stand, live app festival. We can talk about that as well. If you find time here, those that are interested in the space, live app festival, the 11th and the 12th next week. That's another part. Thank you.
Thank you so much, colleagues. We've wrapped up this session now. We're going to hand over to our program director to take us through the program. Let us give them a round of applause. Thank you.
Guys, are we learning? You don't sound like you're learning. You sound tired. Are we learning? Oh, that's wonderful. So up next, can I just find out if Shoma is here? Shoma, are you here? Okay, it doesn't look like Shoma is here. But we are going to have Unontsikelelo, ne? Unontsikelelo is going to come do a poem for us. Can Unontsikelelo come closer? While the panel for access to finance as well gets ready, while she's busy with her poem, just quietly gets ready, so that when she's done, we have that panel ready. Okay, can we give a big round of applause for Unontsikelelo?
Thank you, thank you. Good afternoon. Are we still good? Are we all still good? Can we get an even higher yes? All right. As Umama had already introduced me, my name is Unontsikelelo. I am a poet and spoken word artist. I will not be taking much of your time. I'd just firstly like to thank the organizers for giving us this platform to just commemorate the youth of 1976. And also just identify and recognize that the struggles which they face were so much different from the struggles which we are facing. One of those struggles being the high rate of unemployment, which fortunately platforms such as these are trying to address. So this is a clear indication that we are slowly but surely moving in the right direction. So yes, this poem rather, is titled Saliva Drops. Yeah, hope you enjoy it. They basked in the blistering heat of the blazing sun, staring intently at their washing lines filled to the brim with hopes for a better life, one which was rid of rape, human trafficking, molestation, and sexual harassment. They basked under the blistering rate of the blazing sun and recognized that this was more than what they had planned. Their eyes reflected the fear of that woman who walks in the dark streets of Jersey, not fearing the darkness of the night per se, but fearing the man who lingers in the shadows of the darkness. They turned their ears deaf to the sounds of the boy who suffered from depression, danced hardest in the club, drowning his sorrows in booze until the liquid lost its power to numb the pain, so he eventually embraced death. They basked in the blistering heat of the blazing sun, baptizing themselves with an unguaranteed hope for a better life that is yet to come. A better life which has not yet been promised to them, but they basked in the blistering heat of the sun. Although their aura was drenched in a stench of defeat, there was something about the look in their eyes, something about the way they looked into the far distance, picturing so vividly a life which was much better than what they had right now. A life which was rid of tribalism, sexism, and racism. A life which had been rid of all drops of homophobia and xenophobia. A South Africa which was no longer home to poverty and unemployment. They basked in the blistering heat of the blazing sun as they yearned for positive change. They craved so dearly, craved so deeply to walk down the streets of Jersey with crop shops, with short crops, crop shots and bum shorts, with their secret smiles of relief plastered on their faces, screaming louder than any man-made music could ever master, that do not tell me what to wear. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Klanti Pai. I am going to be helping drive this discussion, which is about access to finance. I work as an economist, but I'm an entrepreneur. It's a bit of a tongue twister. We've got some of the best people in this panel who are going to talk to you about these things. But I wanted to start here because I'm sure most of you are, as every entrepreneur says, looking for money. So if your cousin calls you up and says they're starting a business and they'd like you to lend them some money, you know, they've been collecting from different people, and they call you up and they say, look, can you lend me some money, 1,000 rand, 5,000? What would be the questions you would ask them? So I need you to participate. A hand up. Anybody?
What's in it for me?
That's it, okay?
How are you going to pay back?
How much are you going to pay back?
How much? Yeah, interest. Okay.
Yo, malengaka. No, what are you going to do with 5 grand?
I'm not a cash loan.
Ouch. Anybody?
What kind of a business are you starting?
Last one.
Do you have markets?
Do you have markets? Very good. Now I think that last question is important, right? But everybody wants one thing. Am I going to get my money back? All right? And there's only one way to get your money back, and that's when the person sells the things. And so many people forget that part about how do I actually convince this person I'm going to pay them their money back. So we're going to have these people here who know how to ask these questions and maybe how to answer them. But as they talk, take some notes because we're going to be back again to answer this question because a lot of people are very sensitive. Many of you here want to hear about access to finance, but some people say, I won't lend you, I'm not cash loan. Because part of it is all of us want to keep our money, it must be safe. But at the same time, we want to take other people's money and risk it. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. So we have a panel here, and they're going to introduce themselves. It's a bit sad that we only have one woman, but we'll do better next year.
Do I need to stand up? I guess. Good afternoon. I was going to say good morning because I've been here since the early hours of today. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kemaudi Lenzwani from Lehumo Investments. Lehumo Investments is an organization that I founded. It's a group of companies. I founded the organization back in 2011. It's one of the financial companies that is making the mark within the financial sector in South Africa. It's a very difficult space to be in. The speaker earlier said, many years ago, the big guys used to eat the small guys. But in 2018, is the fast guys that are eating the slow guys. So make sure that you're not the slow one because you are going to be eaten. Lehumo Investments, we do a number of things. One, we help people to insure. We've got an insurance arm. We have the investment division, the asset management division. We help you to invest. We've got the other division, which is the trading division. Many of you have heard about trading, whether it's the bitcoins of this world, the forex, the equity. You've got no clue of what it means. It's a one form of, it's a platform that people can utilize to raise funding. The other division, it's the private equity division. And I think today when we're talking about the conversation that we're having here, which is access to funding, it's very important for you guys to understand what we do as Lehumo Investments is that we assist entrepreneurs. We look for businesses that are shining, businesses that have entrepreneurs who are really passionate about what we do, and we help them with the funding. Mr. Indran Gavenda was talking earlier here about, he was on the panel from FlinFin. We have, as Lehumo Investments, we've got shares in FlinFin. So it's one of the businesses that we've invested in. So that's the platform also that by extension is part of the Lehumo group. And I think he unpacked it very well, what FlinFin does. And I think you guys can refer in more details about what they do. What I want to speak to you guys about today, it's about the fact that there are a number of ways entrepreneurs can raise funding, can access funds. You can either go and borrow the money, in other words, get a loan. You can also raise funding through equity. In other words, look for equity partners that are going to fund, be part owners of your business. So you've got to compare the best form of funding. Do the comparison between which one is more lucrative between those type of funding. Is it getting a loan or is it going through the equity funding? You've got to compare the costs. Oftentimes, entrepreneurs are thinking the only way to get money is to go and get a loan. But sometimes you find that the cost of equity of the loan, it's higher than the cost of equity. So sometimes selling a portion of your company to a strategic partner could be the best way for you to actually advance in terms of a business. So I need you guys to have that mindset shift. Start thinking about funding or access to funding through equity partners, which is where the private equity arm of Lehumo Investments comes in. As I said, we funded Flynn Finn. You know, we became part owners of Flynn Finn. They wanted to grow. They had options of going to the bank, right? Compare the interest rates that they're going to pay, right? Or go through Luhumo and get funding and still be able to achieve the same goal. So I need you guys to think about those two and be able to say which one is the best form of funding. Luhumo has got a number of products. I'm going to list just two of them, and due to time. We've got, on the other side, the Luhumo team is sitting there if you want to know more. But the one exciting product that I want to mention today, Saros was here. They talked about the rebates that they have. We've taken advantage of a product, a very nice product that came through because of the changes, the amendments that we had on the income tax amendments. It was amended back in 2009. The government introduced something called a Section 12J. It's a tax incentive program by the National Treasury. What it does, it says, if you are an entrepreneur and you invest money into a Section 12J, a company, you get 100% tax deductions on that money that you've invested. In other words, every money that you invest into a VCC structure, a registered venture capital, that money is 100% tax deductible. So there's tax benefits already of investing into a VCC. So as a Luhumo, we've set up a VCC structure. We've attracted funds from many other business people. They invest in that VCC. We then take the money and invest into small, medium enterprises, into young people's businesses. You get two benefits. One, your money is invested in these companies that are doing very well. And at the same time, you're getting tax benefits. So there are a number of ways that we as entrepreneurs need to start thinking about how we can actually grow and assist other businesses, but also grow our own investments as well. Because by you investing this money, you are making money as well. And at the same time, you're getting the tax benefits. I want you to go and learn more about the Section 12J. We've got that product as Luhumo Investments. I'm going to cut it there, ladies and gentlemen, due to time, and allow the other panelists to also engage. But I'm happy to, of course, answer any questions relating to what I've just spoken about. Thank you so much.
Evening, everybody. My name is Tembelani Makotla. I'm from the Old Mutual Masisizane Fund. Now I'm here basically to tell you about our product offering and what is it that we do. So we are a fund that was established in 2007, and we're focusing on 4 sectors. We do franchising, we do agribusiness, we do supply chain, and manufacturing. Now, the main reason we exist is to alleviate poverty and to assist black entrepreneurs. So our finding criteria is strictly that the business has to be 51% or more black owned. And in that particular sector, I would like to focus on franchising. Now, franchising, we're focusing on 4 subsectors. We do fuel stations, we do fast foods, we do retail, and we do automotive services. Now, normally, the frequently asked questions around franchising is, can I just approach you as a funder, even if I've been approved by the franchisor? We cannot assist you if you haven't been approved by the franchisor. So the steps is you get approved by the franchisor, then you come to us for funding. Now, where we tend to differ with some of the funding is that in terms of collateral, because most banks, they want collateral. We are not that heavily driven in terms of getting collateral for a transaction. If the deal is a good deal, it's a viable business, the entrepreneur it's solid, then we see how we can assist you. But obviously, we all know that we also want skin in the game, because when you contribute your own money, you tend to want to make it work. So that's franchising. And agriculture, we're focusing on grain, we do livestock farming, we do a number of projects, depending, there has to be markets in place. So this is where it tends to get tricky, because you find someone who's a startup but doesn't have access to markets. So normally what happens in this instance is that you approach the respective customers, and you require, you ask them to give you letters of intent. Now, a letter of intent on its own does not hold much water, but it gives us comfort that there is someone who might take your product, right? And then for supply chain, now for supply chain is mostly what we call the tenderpreneurs. So we assist entrepreneurs who have government tenders, who have tenders with private, whether it's building RTP houses, building roads, or supplying the likes of Tiger Brands, whatever product that you have. So we assist you with that. And there it has to be contract linked. Our term is based on the contract. So if a contract is for 12 months, our term in the funding will be for 12 months. So it has to be viable in a sense that you're able to pay us within 12 months. And then we also do manufacturing. Now in the manufacturing also, there has to be a solid market. And another element within Masisizane is the post-investment element. So what happens is that once you've been funded and then you're onboarded to the post-investment team, now the reason why this post-investment element was created is we saw that a number of entrepreneurs actually struggle once they actually have the business. The money has been given to you, so what now? So we step in to see how we can assist your business in terms of giving you capacity, assisting you getting additional markets. We liaison with different funders, respective players, and see how we can actually hold you throughout the journey and make sure that your business succeeds. Now, our rates are quite reasonable, if I may say. For our franchising, we do normally prime plus 1, with the rate currently sitting at 10%, so you're looking at 11% on a transaction. With contract financing, it's prime plus 2. Now, with agriculture, we can base it at prime. Depending on the deal, then it can also be prime plus 1. Now, what we proud ourselves is the fact that we really contributing to the economy. And one of the projects that we recently been involved in is the township revitalization project. I'm not sure how many of you are around from Soweto, but if you look around, you will see there's a number of small pick and pay shops which are coming up. Now, we're part of that project. And in that project, we've partnered with a lot of people. We've partnered with the GEP, we've partnered with our Old Mutual Foundation, and we've also partnered with Brimstone. So the main aim is we bring in partners that will give you grant, and also we come in loan finance, because at this moment, we're only providing loan financing to our respective entrepreneurs. Now, the main, for our franchising, the term is mostly 5 years. And that's linked to the term of the franchise agreement, right? And for agribusiness, it depends. And in terms of repayments, we're quite flexible in the agri sector because we need to follow your cycle of the particular business. So that is us in a nutshell. I'll be around to take any questions if you need to. We have a national footprint. If you have a deal in the Eastern Cape, we'll be able to assist you. Northern Cape, we're able to assist you. And there are provinces, there are provincial managers that look after each province. So thank you.
I hope you don't mind me using your podium. I've got a whole lot of stuff that I want to communicate. Good afternoon. My name is Tlale Matseke and I'm with the Land Bank. Others know it as the Land Bank, but either way, I hope that a number of you have heard of it. By a show of hands, how many of you are in the agricultural sector? So we eat food 3 times a day about, and we only have about a handful of individuals who are producing our food or getting it to our plates. Okay, so, and of those people that are in agriculture, how many of you are in primary production? So how many of you are the farmers? That's very impressive. It's a very sexy job. Okay, and I suppose the rest of you are in secondary production. All right, so the Land Bank is a specialist financing institution, particularly for agriculture. We are involved across the value chain, whether you are looking at acquiring land, whether you're looking at financing the purchase of implements or equipment, whether you want to buy a tractor, whether you want to buy livestock, across a number of different value chains. And we've been around since 1912. Now that's a very long time, and I mean, we've previously heard of the Land Bank as some or other institution that we're not able to connect with, and we're on a very, very aggressive drive to change that. So our 3 strategic areas, so to say, as part of our 2020 vision is transformation, which is very important because the face of agriculture in South Africa is very different to the individuals who are in this room today. And the second aspect is inclusivity, because as much as we would like to see food getting onto our plates, we're starting to really focus on who is really providing that food. You know, what are the demographics of the individuals who are really, really getting involved in the production of our food? So we're really trying to change that. Does it mean bringing the youth in? You know, how inclusive is agriculture? The third one, of course, is growth. So it's quite important to make sure that our sector grows. And really growth, I would like to believe, is underpinned by those two aspects, which is transformation and inclusivity. So our role really is what we say interventionalist. Basically, it means that we play a coordinating function and a coordinating role in making sure that we can facilitate financing and I guess that access to finance. Every time I hear access to finance, I think to myself, is it just access to finance or is it access to a certain type of finance and the availability of that finance? You know, so I think that's quite important, and we try by all means to make it possible for our financing, and financing being debt, our loans to reach individuals at the most affordable price, and of course making it widely available. On the other end, we also enable project development. So you would appreciate that while access to finance is a major challenge, it's not the only challenge which is facing entrepreneurs. There are a whole host of other issues, and that's the reason why I suppose the discussions today have been premised on 3 different areas. Of course, we're just talking about access to markets, which is also a major, major issue, because regardless of what you may have and the amount of money that you may have and all of that, you need to actually have some way to sell that, because you need to be able to repay. Someone said repayment ability, that's very important. So in most instances, and particularly in agriculture, if you're not able to sell your produce, you're as good as gone. The last aspect is increasing meaningful participation in the participation of marginalized groups. Now, if you think of marginalized groups, I'm part of that category. We're looking at, there's actually an organization called Finmark Trust, which conducted a really amazing assessment of social exclusion in the country. And they say that a typical person who is socially excluded is a female, a black female, who is either between the ages of 19 and 24 or over the age of 55 years old, who is specifically farming and is in a rural setting. So, I mean, that really speaks to why it's important for us to make it possible for these marginalized groups, like myself, to be involved in agriculture. Now, I've already talked on the marginalized groups. So the challenges, of course, we understand that as a financial institution, it's important to appreciate the major reasons why access to affordable and available finance is quite difficult. And if you walk into a typical financial institution, you'll be told, you know, have you got equity? What is your owner's equity? You know, and the bankers refer to it as skin in the game. So have you got skin in the game? How do we know that you are committed to making this business work? And that is very important. But at the same time, if you're looking at that category of marginalized groups that I was referring to, how many of us are actually able to put up owner's equity when we're looking at going into and putting together an enterprise or building an enterprise? It's not the same for everyone, particularly where we're looking at creating an impact, which is in the agricultural space with emerging farmers. The second aspect is the cost of finance. Finance can be quite expensive, and that's the reason why it's important for us to look at it as affordable finance, you know, finance that facilitates some other type of production. And then the third aspect is inadequate collateral, the C word. Yeah, it's one of the challenges that we're faced with, unfortunately, and if you're working in an industry where you have to ensure repayment ability, I forgot to mention something when I started. As the Land Bank, as much as we're a state-owned enterprise, we don't receive any money from the national budget. We raise finance ourselves on the capital markets, meaning that we have private investors who put money into, who provide us with what they call wholesale interest rate. I forgot what it's called, but basically it's a type of finance which is at a lower rate, and then we on-lend it onto our clients. So that means that we only provide straight debt, you know, and the challenge that we're faced with and what we're working very, very, very aggressively on is how do we ensure that even though we want to make sure that we can on-lend that money and make sure that we have it repaid, how do we make it possible for emerging farmers to really participate in the sector? Meaning that we really can't charge those high interest rates, which we should have been charging because of the fact that we are actually raising the money ourselves. And that speaks to the level of innovation which is really required in the space that we're working in. Agriculture is innately a very risky sector to work in because you can have access to finance, you can have your implements, you can have your seed, you can plant on time and make sure everything's great, and then you get a drought or you get a hailstorm. And then if you don't have insurance or you don't have affordable insurance, which you also provide, by the way, then you're dead in the water and you're faced with having to settle a major, major loan which you don't have the money for. And the bank is knocking at your door. Worst case scenario, they're looking at taking your farm. Not us, of course, because we're we're really focused on making sure that we create a really enabling environment in the sector. So what kind of interventions does the Land Bank provide? Obviously financing, but because, like I said, you get different kinds of challenges. On the financing side, it's those three that I mentioned. On the non-financial side, we understand, the guys who are in agriculture will tell you that it's also access to inputs. You know, what kind of seed are you getting? Is it the kind of seed that's actually working, that works well for the type of geographical area that you're in? You know, there's so many different aspects. Do you have access to land, you know? Now that I started working for the Land Bank a few months ago, and all my friends keep saying, Lale, where's the land? You know, and that's unfortunately a reality, you know, that a lot of our emerging farmers are faced with. Sometimes when they get the land, how are they able to bring that into production? Do they have sufficient production support? You know, you can have the finance, but do you know how to farm that specific commodity? You know, do you have capacity building for that specific variety of tomatoes, which must be harvested at a specific time of the day, because if you don't, it spoils, and then you don't actually have that access to markets, because now you no longer meet the stringent requirements which you're faced with to produce for a certain off-taker. Do you know what I mean? So there's so many challenges, and there's so many, it's all multi-dimensional, but they're all linked. And that adds the complexity of the sector that we're operating in. As a young person in agriculture, which is quite important, because I'd like to believe that we're trying to get to a point where entrepreneurs and agripreneurs are young and vibrant and really, you know, feeling home in the agricultural sector. It's not easy for us to be involved in policy discussions. Now, I feel as though to a large extent we feel as though we've been excluded from the kind of conversations where we're supposed to have influence. You know, so how do we make it possible for us to feel represented in certain discussions regarding how it is that we can participate as young black South Africans in the agricultural sector? And there's also another challenge that we're faced with, which we try to really look at by encouraging and working with industry stakeholders and industry bodies and farmers associations. I'm not sure if you're all aware of the different farmers associations which you could be a part of as farmers and participators in the agricultural value chain. So those are different, you know, just randomly the challenge that I thought to quickly outline. I know a number of you are asking, you know, who's our target market? You know, who do we really support? It's every single farmer that is looking at trying to establish a commercial enterprise, a commercially viable enterprise. Now, we have different sectors, or we've got different segments along which we play. At the highest tier, it's 5 different ones. At the highest tier, it's the cooperatives and the agribusinesses. These are the institutions that provide services and implements to other sort of players in the agricultural value chain. Right below that, we have the large farmers, and these are typically the farmers who are farming on land that's over 1,000 hectares. Those are individuals who are really dominant in the sector and actually have, like, they've got that clout, they've got that influence that they can exercise in the sector. Below that, we've got medium commercial. And these are farmers who would typically have a turnover of between 5 and 500 million. They would have anything between 100 and 1,000 hectares of land, and obviously across a different number of value chains. And then we have the emerging farmers category, which is my favorite personally, because that's where the real potential lies to make a difference in terms of the 3 aspects that I talked about: transformation, growth, and inclusivity. And these are farmers who would have anything between 10 hectares and 100 hectares, and their turnover would be less than 5 million rand. And at the lowest end, we have the subsistence farmers, and unfortunately, our business does not cater for farmers who are less than 10 hectares. We are, of course, very driven by the type of potential that your enterprise has, and if we see that there is future commercial potential in your enterprise, we're very, very happy to work with you and to look at how best we can upskill you and, advise from just a production support perspective and enable you to look beyond just being a subsistence farmer. Also being important that not everyone actually wants to be a commercial farmer. Some individuals are very happy just producing for their households and just supporting themselves. But of course, we're looking at national food security, and that requires really, really, really vibrant farmers. And I'm hoping that the ones in the room are also in that category. So I'm going to just lastly talk about our product offering. We've got a very diverse range of products. And like I said, because we're across a different number of segments, it's quite important for us to look at what kind of products do we have. If we're saying we can service the guy who has 10 hectares and the guy who has 1,000 hectares, you can imagine that our products have to speak to a whole range of needs. And on the one end, we've got our mortgage products, and we've got something called a special mortgage loan. Now that one's quite interesting because as a previously disadvantaged group or as a marginalized group, you would, or as part of the marginalized group, you would typically take a little bit longer to pay off your debt, right? So we're quite flexible in that we give you up to 25 years for you to pay the acquisition of your land, and of course you need to be this color. In order for you to qualify, because like I said, the individuals who we're trying to create the right amount of development impact are those who were previously marginalized and were not given the opportunity to really participate in agriculture. And then we also have medium-term products which make it possible for you to finance your movable assets. Those are your tractors, your combine harvesters, and any sort of equipment that you need on your farm to be productive. And those would be financed up until 15 years. We also have establishment loans, and those are for instance, if you are establishing a sugarcane plantation, if you're looking at establishing a fruit orchard, the like of those sort of commodities which would take up to 5 years before you can even start to harvest. So we make it possible for you to get that sort of financing, which would actually require us to give a certain amount of time before you actually start paying. You can't be expected to be paying off a loan facility that you use to establish a crop which will only start harvesting in 5 years. And then on the tail end of that, we've got short-term products. Those are up until 5 years, and that's really typically for production support. The previous speaker spoke about how you've got to really tailor your products to the seasons. And of course, if you need to plant right now and you need to put your seeds in the ground so you could make sure that you're within the season, you need production support right now. And based on the kind of commodity that you are farming, we would tailor your repayment term according to that, whether it's monthly, quarterly, or annually. So those are the different products that we have. The land bank is, we've got a very, very good geographical spread. We've got 9 provincial offices across the country, and we've got 16 satellite offices. I don't know what a satellite office is, what it's supposed to sound like, but basically it's anywhere where it's close to the people, and an office which is a bit smaller but has all the capabilities to assist you. And they would typically be in the areas where they're close to reaching those farmers that are a bit hard to reach because, unfortunately, agriculture is, I've got 1 minute left, agriculture is something that would have to take into consideration that individuals are sparsely located. And then we've got a website, landbank.co.za, which you can access. And if at any given time you feel that you need any sort of support, please feel free to send an email to info@landbank.co.za. And I've got 1 product brochure with me. If anybody needs further information, I'm very happy to part with it. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you.
Sanbonani. Okay. Mina, I'm Lindy Wemtaki from the National Empowerment Fund. It's that banner right there at the end. National Empowerment Fund is one of the DFIs as a form of government. Is it okay if I mix my languages? Because mina, yeah. Okay, as a form of government, we are particularly different as a DFI because our core focus is to grow Black economic participation, as our logo says. So we are more focused on funding of black business. Our old mutual colleague spoke about 51% ownership, black ownership are the kind of businesses that they are interested in. NEF is actually fulfilling that space as well, but from the government sector. So I was very excited actually to hear more about your program because I've never really, looked into Old Mutual. NEF was formed under the banner of the DTI with two basic functions. We provide financial and non-financial support, which means we don't just give you money, we handhold you wherever possible all the way to the end, from cradle to grave. And then the second major thing that that forms part of our mandate is the promotion of savings and investments amongst our people. When you say savings and investments, people have issues, people, cringe and say, but how am I supposed to save when I'm not making enough to sustain myself? I will get into that a little bit later. But that's part of our mandate, and we as such, we do promote that culture. I will just basically touch on most of what has been spoken about. Our duty is very, very similar actually as funders, as long as you are aware that when you come to the NEF, we do not provide grant funding, we provide a loan. There are funding periods that we have. We are looking at anything between 5 and 7 years. We do not fund primary agriculture. Uland Bank was set up for that pure purpose. We do your agro-processing. So your secondary agriculture is where we can get involved, where you will say, I am farming this particular product, but I need to set up, for example, a processing plant to supply Woolworths, to supply Pick and Pay, whoever. But at least we assist where secondary agriculture is concerned. I'm not going to go into in-depth because, quite honestly speaking, it's very similar. The funding structures are very similar. One other thing is we've got a post-investments department where once we've funded you, we allocate a post-investments associate who will come and say, have you seen Guti, if une business, for example, I come from a long line of